Hello, welcome to the podcast. Today I'm talking to Harley Q, who is a great YouTuber, TikToker, etc. Again, I go over this in the intro, so I'll see you in a few minutes on that. I just wanted to say, unfortunately, my podcast app or whatever had like a little bit of an issue, so we lost a little bit of the last bit of the episode. I think it was only about 20 minutes. We were going through some fits and trying to wrap up anyway. And there's also like another section where it kind of was weird a bit, so I apologize for that. But yeah, still a great episode, still a long episode, still plenty of stuff. And it's American Psycho and Blue Steel, which made for a fascinating episode. And she is super smart about movies, so I will, I'll see you on the other side. Enjoy the show.
Throw some colors on the screen and paint me black and white. I want to see a thief in a gunfight or a heroine wounded in love. You can keep her lighted by an old flame left to frame, so I can read the feeling on her face, half in shadow, and know I felt that too. In danger and in love, you've got the dreams I was dreaming of, and I've got 2 hours to pretend. So I watch a movie with a friend, time's running sideways, and reality's gotta meet me halfway. So I'll meet it here again. Here's the Trading Movies Podcast with friends.
Hello. Hello. I had to like... oh. Okay. I'm going to leave all this in probably. Maybe not. Hello, today I'm talking to Harley Q, who is an amateur game historian and reporter. She's a TikToker, YouTuber, and host of Harley's Highlights, which is a series about looking at the perspective of gaming through the lens of women. She is also host of Gaming Across America, a show about traveling across America to visit all things gaming to see what each state and area has to offer and discuss the history of gaming. You can find her on TikTok at harleyqsplaytime, that's HARLEYQS_playtime. On YouTube at harleyqsplaytime, that's HARLEYQS playtime, and at Gaming Across America, both of those on YouTube, and all of our links at linktr.ee/HarleyQsplaytime, again, HARLEYQsplaytime for all other relevant links and things. Harley, welcome to the show.
Hello, it's good to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be a very fun episode. I really appreciate you giving me the chance to rewatch these 2 movies because I love them. So you can probably so we were talking about business cards a little bit off camera, so I do want to get back into, I need to make a note to get back into the business cards, but we watched American Psycho. You probably guessed since you heard business cards, and honestly, if you're listening to this, you probably saw the title of the episode, so what am I doing? But we watched American Psycho and Blue Steel. So Harley picked American Psycho, which was famously directed by Mary Harron, written by, I think, based on a book by Bret Easton Ellis. And then I picked Blue Steel, 1990, Kathryn Bigelow. It was one of my favorite directors, just one of my favorite Kathryn Bigelow movies. And so what made you want to watch American Psycho? Thank you, because I hadn't seen it in probably like 15 years. So.
Honestly, it's going to sound really dorky. I really like the band Ice Nine Kills.
Are they in the movie? I didn't.
No, they do. Okay, so Ice Nine Kills, they do songs that are like based off of like the horror genre. So they have a song called "Hip to Be Scared," and
Gotcha.
yeah, and the whole song is so poetically referencing the movie. So because of that, I was like, I really want to watch American Psycho again. And I did study American Psycho in college too. But like, yeah, no, I was like, I really want to compare the two. And yeah, they did a really good job, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I say it on my channel a lot, but probably more women should have been allowed to direct movies. Like
Absolutely.
You know? I think these are 2 of the very best movies of the 90s. If anything, the thing I immediately was like, I was just like wowing the whole time at American Psycho. If anything, I think it's underrated, which is weird. Because like, it feels like, and I also think it's miscast because like, I don't know, like, I was about to say, I don't know the circles you follow, but like, or the, the circles you walk in, but like, it feels like I see a lot of like, it included on the list of like, I don't know, Joe, and this is not to be pejorative to any movies, but like Joker, Wolf of Wall Street as like sort of basic film bro movies,
Yeah.
which like, I think that's really insulting to this because it's like excellent.
Patrick Bateman himself is definitely very misunderstood too, because like
Yeah.
he is the alpha male that everyone wants to be. It's like you don't want to be him. That is the point of the movie. Is you
Yeah.
don't. But like so many people are like, I did the Patrick Bateman skincare. It's like you are
Yeah.
aware he's a psychopath, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
It really nailed like. I mean,
the
I guess everything.
vanity
Yeah.
too. The pure vanity. He was so worried throughout the whole film about his mask, his exterior mask. And it was ultimately the downfall to his mental health.
Yeah.
Be- and what's so striking about the film, and I'm sorry, I'm hogging for a
Go
minute,
ahead.
but the first time that you're introduced to Reese Witherspoon's character, they're sitting in the back of the car limo, whatever it is, and she specifically says, like, you hate this job. Why do you keep doing it? And he says, you know, I just want to fit in. So he doesn't give a shit that he's miserable. He just wants people to like him.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I feel like this movie. Like I know it was like very specifically written for the '80s, and maybe this stuff comes like in and out of vogue. But I've been working in the tech industry for maybe 10. Like I got into that out of college, unfortunately, and like the amount of people that are sort of Patrick Bateman coded in that industry, except everyone I've ever worked with, and who might I need help from getting a job in the future. I'm not talking about you, but everyone else that I've met, like the amount of people that are like, I don't know, just like coded so like him in a way that was like made me deeply uncomfortable watching this. Is like, oh my God, these are these guys. Like just the obsession with like, even to your point, that scene, like the when they're sitting in the car, he's got his headphones on. He's like, and not trying to make like a firm diagnosis here, but like he's definitely coded as like neurodivergent, probably semi halfway a lot autistic, which I think is like, the mask metaphor I think works for the like the closeted stuff, which I'm sure we'll get into. But also I think just like there's been a tech guy trend now of like, I don't know how many people I know that are like massively obsessed with keto, or like, these guys who like basically give themselves eating disorders where they're only eating like Soylent and like working out like 6 times a day. Some of it is actually self-consciously referencing this movie, which again, to your point, is crazy. But like, yeah, it's like, it always makes me kind of, I don't know, queasy watching movies that are so predictive of the future,
Right. And it felt, and I haven't seen this movie since my early 20s, so it's been a very long time since I look fantastic for my age. You don't have to remind me.
Yeah, which was like 2 years ago, right? So
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
I don't look a day over 16, whatever. But when I first saw this movie, I didn't really understand a lot of the underlining plot points until I actually worked in like a corporation. When I started working in them, and I started seeing how like people were so desperate to like make that commission, they want to make that sale, they want to make that extra bonus, and what they're willing to sacrifice in order they don't give a shit what it does to anybody else around them. They got that commission, they're done for the day. And I just could not survive in a type of world like that. It's inhumane.
Yeah.
To me, that's psychotic.
Yeah, it is. Which I think the movie, like the set design of the movie, I thought did such a good job reflecting that, like the isolation and loneliness of the office itself, but also all the scenes where he's running through the city, which is just like supernaturally empty. Like all the moments are so good where it's just, it feels like the loneliest place in the world, New York City. Like, which, I used to live in New York City. Certainly, like, financial district or whatever can be lonelier at times at night or stuff, but it's never like you're just one guy running around and no one's in any building. You don't see any life going on ever. So it's sort of surreal, like heightening of that. I thought did a really, really good job. Yeah, just such a classic movie. There's something we were talking about business cards, as I said off, and yeah, that was something I definitely noted, like, even to the point about, like, people sort of self-consciously referencing this movie. There are, I want to say, the business cards that one of my companies ordered from. Like, I had to get business cards once, and they offer a Patrick Bateman version. Just like straight up, you can get, like, the Patrick Bateman business card. It's, like, a thing that you can buy on their website, along with, like, normal company business cards, which...
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a vibe. It is a vibe. I get it.
They are nice looking cards.
And the crazy part is about that whole scene is they're sitting here and they're like eggshell off-white. And it's like, in reality, if you put 3 colors of white in front of me, I ain't gonna know the difference.
Yeah.
Like that is a white card with black lettering on it. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Like, but it was this status symbol of who was better than the other person, and it's crazy. I love that scene.
Yeah, and I think they reinforce that with like the glasses and the hairstyles and everything else. It's
Yes.
like, and they keep confusing each other. Like, it's like even at the end too. It's where it's like, well, Paul Allen can't be dead because I had dinner with him twice in London, and it's like, clearly, like some people have interpreted it like right to Bateman's losing his mind or dreaming or whatever, all of this, but it's also very possible he just had someone dinner like everyone confuses Patrick Bateman. Even his lawyer confuses him for someone else, like while
Yeah,
he's
I was
talking
gonna
to
say,
him,
he's
right?
a damn lawyer, and his lawyer thought it was a joke. And I'm like, how do you think that that was funny? Like, I would
Yeah,
have called the cops. Well, you're his lawyer, so I guess then you can't technically call the cops. I get that. But still, it's just, I wouldn't have been that normal if someone was like, I'm Patrick Bateman. I left this message on your thing. And he's like, that's funny. I'd be like,
yeah. Well, you're not that class though, right? You're probably both of us. I mean,
yeah,
I would
no.
imagine like are closest to his secretary, the only one who actually sees him at
The
the end,
only
right?
one who actually made any sense too. And it's so crazy because the one she was when she's finally in like his apartment or whatever, and his fiance calls and he literally says, I'm gonna do something bad. She's interpreting as it like, oh my God, this might go from beyond just a dinner date. When literally he's saying, no, I'm gonna kill you if you stay,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she doesn't even realize.
That's such a good scene. I Yeah, he's like, I think he's about to nail gun her in the head or something. I want to
Yes.
say, brutal. Yeah, that scene actually, I thought so. I've been doing a series on my TikTok. Probably there'll have been several videos by the time you're listening to this on like monster mellow horror, but like the idea of it like being sort of over the top melodramatic style, but also like movies told sort of from the perspective of like an othered person, and they generally do them with like, in my opinion, like with a lot of empathy, and like with where I think it's where like you had othered representation like classic movies and media a lot of the times in like the 40s and 50s, like in women's pictures or monster movies. That scene I thought was interesting. I was like, am I watching a monster mellow horror? Because like she actually, there's a couple of scenes in this where I actually think she treats Patrick Bateman with like a shocking amount of empathy for what he's doing. Like she both like makes you hate him immediately because he like kills a dog and the homeless guy like
Oh my God. Yeah.
within like 5 minutes or something, right? He tries to
Yes.
feed the stray cat to like the ATM machine. Horrific scenes, but then also she's like, yeah, in that scene, like that's like one where he's having a breakdown where he's like, I just want someone to know me. Like you feel like so sad for. I mean, at least I did. I don't know. Did you feel sad for him at that point, or?
No, he has too much money for me to feel sad for him.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I was talking about that with my therapist yesterday. We were talking about we both would feel very bad for people like, Elon or Donald Trump. And I think I talked about that in one of my videos. If they weren't doing what they were doing, they'd be the saddest people on the planet, because it's like you
Yes.
have this $600 billion and you still are trying
This
to,
is the
what did
best
you do
you
the
can
other,
do.
you like wearing a bunch of hats the other day to get people to like faking
Yeah.
video game. Like you're, like
Yes.
that's the most pitiful thing I can
And,
imagine is like,
and he's a Torb main in Overwatch, which is just that's it.
is he really?
Yeah,
Well,
his daughter said that when they played when they were younger, he would play. First of all, he was gold, which is like the worst rank, and his daughter had to carry him,
yeah,
and he played Torbjorn, which, if you don't know, has a
yeah,
turret that aims for you.
yeah. Yeah, the only good Torbs are offensive Torbs. I mean, it's been
Absolutely,
a couple
and
years.
Torbs have their place. Okay, I don't want to make anyone who plays Torb feel bad, but if you're
A little
gold,
bad.
if you're
Yeah.
gold,
Gold Torbjorn's kind of wild, I will say.
yeah. But it's been
That's
forever since I played Overwatch, so maybe I should just be quiet.
it's been I had to stop myself from playing it for year while I was having my sort of a little bit of my Patrick Bateman phase. Not obviously all the things he was doing, but when I was living in New York City and feeling alienated from work, let's say, instead of killing people, I was just playing, which honestly probably was almost worse. I was just playing a lot of competitive Overwatch, and yeah. I was a Sim main, and I liked Symmetra. So I don't want to say it's even worse, but like Sim and May, back when they were,
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I say this too, but I definitely did a lot of that stuff too. Like I did Symmetra when she had her 500 turrets, and I miss when she
Oh
had her
yeah.
little. She used to be able to throw out the shield that looked like a crock pot lid. I used to love
Yeah.
that.
That was a great
Um,
shield.
she's a great shield. Oh, I was so good at it too. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I don't know. May now is completely reworked. Symmetra is completely reworked. So I don't even know.
Yeah.
I
When
haven't
they
played
went
the
from
game.
6 to 5, it was so weird.
Yeah,
Yeah. I actually
yeah, and
went
then
just
well,
randomly.
pretty
Oh, go
much as
ahead.
soon as they promised to remove PvE from there, I was like, I'm not gonna
Mm-mm.
play this as much because you guys promised you were gonna give me PvE.
Yeah, and they never did. I wonder what happened there. This is now an
They just
Overwatch podcast,
no,
but
they just they Blizzard was like, we're gonna do it, and then like I think it was May of 22, they just were like, we're not doing this now. We're going in a different direction. I'm like,
yeah,
and I'm also going in a different direction.
yeah. It's honestly was probably good for me because I was definitely too into it. It's an interesting case
Yeah.
of how to screw up a game, like, uh,
Yes.
because they had a great game, but then they just sort of kept screwing it up more and more and more.
And I think the crazy part is they still have a great, like the great game is still in there because I can tell you right now, I could boot up Overwatch, take me probably forever to update it, but I would still have a really good time.
Yeah,
It's just all the other things that come with it. Like there's a very bad thing where they either overbalance a character or, they overpromise, you know, underperform.
yeah,
And if they could just
yeah,
get their crap together and stop firing people and stop hiring bad people, but that's a whole nother story
yeah.
for another
Oh
day.
my goodness, yeah. That's interesting. I did want to talk about gaming with you because obviously you're a gaming creator. Are those like, I didn't know. I mean, I'm sure you play about 2 trillion games. Seeing your collection, which is, if you
I play a
folks,
lot.
if you, yeah, if you haven't seen Harley's, especially her physical media connection or collection, definitely go check out her TikToks and YouTubes and whatever else on it. It's fascinatingly impressive, right down to having the CRT monitor even, or the
It's my pride
CRT
and joy
TV.
right there. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
my pride and joy.
yeah. But that's is that so? Is I guess like are those? Do you end up playing like modern stuff like Overwatch a lot, or do you typically Hugh? Because you make a lot of content about the
So
classic stuff, right?
I do a lot of, it's a little bit of everything. I like a lot about like game preservation and history, fun facts. Like, I just like fun facts in general. I've always been someone to just blurt out a fun fact.
Mm.
So just it always felt right to kind of blend those two things together. So like blending the fact that I'm obsessed with video games and blending up the fact that I just like blurting out random things like, did you know this?
Yeah,
So that's pretty much how it came to be. And then it became this obsession of now I'm like, okay, why is this game $300? Because this game's terrible. And they turned into researching that. And then it went down a
yeah,
rabbit hole of being up at 4 o'clock in the morning and not being able to sleep. So, and here we
yeah.
are.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the I have had to stop myself from playing games lately. I've been deliberate. I probably haven't played a game in probably since I started the channel because I'm so afraid of it. Because I think the last I tend to get like super into them, and the last thing, trying to put some of that energy towards like the video editing or whatever else as much as I can. Um, yeah, I think the last thing I played was the Elden Ring expansion, and sort of replayed Elden Ring, then all the way through that. And then I was playing the other experience I have, I guess, is I play games. I was playing roguelites at the end of the night with sound off while listening to podcasts. Like to go to bed, I'll try like 45 minutes of like I
Yeah.
don't know if you played Regency Solitaire or something like that. It's not really a rogue, but like any of those, I love it. If you not played, like, oh, I get to game that, uh, folks out there, if they made like Shadowhand and a couple of these other solitaire games, but they're just like these weird Regency Solitaire. You play as like a 17th century lady, like I guess, or maybe 19th century, like having a romance with a guy, but you're doing it while you're doing solitaire hands. I don't know how to. But it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you're unlocking your room, making your house better.
Listen, I'm never gonna judge somebody by the games that they like. Honestly, I have some pretty bad taste in games. Okay.
Oh, what's your guilty pleasure?
It's so hard because, like, I'm gonna say something stupid. Like, I will always play Busy Town for the Sega Genesis.
Okay.
It's not even
I
a
don't think I
bad
played that
game.
one.
It's literally just a kid. It's made for little kids. But that was my
Hmm.
first video game. And because of that,
Oh yeah.
it's one of my favorite video games. I literally played it last year.
Richard
Like
Scarry's
last
Busy
summer.
Town.
Yes, it's Richard Scarry's Busy Town. Oh,
That's
it's
cool.
such a it's so it's busy. It's a Busy Town game. And it's so stupid. You can oh man, I'm gonna play it when we're done here.
Yeah, this looks great. I love the art style on it.
It's cute. It's just a cutesy little game. You can like and it's like a the best way I can describe it's a cozy game. There we go.
Mm,
It's a cozy game because there's literally a section where you can run like a deli. I'm like
that's cool.
that's the kind of games I play now. Like I
Very
literally
Stardew Valley
play
coded.
oh yes.
Yeah.
Stardew Valley, Minecraft, like Animal Crossing, you name it. Shopping carts or grocery store simulator or whatever. Yep, that's me.
Yeah. That's interesting. My mom swears that I taught myself to read from playing games because like the first time she ever noticed me reading by myself was like reading I think it was probably I was playing Dragon Warrior and she was like I can't remember how old I was but she was like I was just sort of like able to read all the menus in like the RPG or something. Um but still to this day probably it ended up with like RPGs and I love Super Metroid. That was like the Metroid and Super Metroid and Mega Man. Loved all those ones as a kid. So is it like do you think the same types of games like these cozy games you played as a did you play other games like I'm sure you've probably played a million things but like
Oh
were
yeah,
those the games that
yeah.
you kind of trended to like Busy Town then and
No,
now?
no. I mean, it's so funny because I actually didn't realize like that Busy Town was kind of like that until like actually probably like a couple years later, where I was like as an adult, like thinking back on it, I'm like, okay, that was kind of cozy game. Makes sense why I liked it so much. Like, I actually didn't. I go through like periods of like big gaming things. Like, I love The
Mm.
Sims. Oh, you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, I played The Sims as a kid. That makes sense. Yeah, I like cozy games. Forget everything I said. Everything else I said before is canceled out. I like The Sims.
Yeah, I have never played The Sims. I was
What?
always yeah they were so popular. I remember when I was like probably 9, 10, 11, 12, like around the turn of probably around like 2000,
Yeah.
2001. Yeah, I feel like I had a weird because like we never excuse me we never bought a lot of games. We would rent them, but we'd always end up like renting the same type of thing. But
Yes.
like, so we'd have like Mega Man 3, and so I was always like really good at Mega Man 3 because we had it. Then we'd just rent like Mega Man 2 or Mega Man 4 or something like that. The Richard Scarry one, have you played what is it, Baldi's Basics? The okay. The horror, I don't know if I have to put that on like a recommendation list. It scared the hell out of me. But if you played like those like educational or like kind of like school coded games, it's
Yeah.
like I think this is like a horror game. I want to say
Okay.
Baldi's 2018 horror game that's like it's disguised as an educational game set in a schoolhouse where you gotta like you're
Oh,
getting chased.
yes. Yeah, I haven't played it. No, but that's because I'm like a big baby when it comes to horror game. I love horror games. I
Same.
love them. But I'm a chicken. I'm just gonna say it.
Is that the same with movies as well?
Yes. I can't watch
Gotcha.
horror well, it depends. I can't watch a lot of horror movies by myself unless I've seen it before.
Mm,
Um, like even then too, man, like if you put on like Sinister, like I love Sinister. It's such a good one.
yeah.
Um, but I'm still scared of that. Still scared the crap out of me.
Yeah. My I got scared really. My dad, I think I'm gonna tell this story about 1,000 times, but first I remember watching. He was like, "Let me sit next to him while we watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre" when I was 4. That just scared the hell out of me off horror movies because it's like a vivid memory. Because my mom was like, "Don't
Right.
let him watch that." My dad was like, he won't. He doesn't know what's going on." I did know what's going on.
My dad did the
Yeah.
same thing, except it wasn't Texas Chainsaw. It was Jaws.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
yeah. So which led him to a long fear of the water and sharks.
Jaws is really
So
scary.
that was terrifying. And
Yeah,
he thought it was funny. Like I mean now it's funny when you've seen it a million times, but
yeah,
like I was a child. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. It's one of my brother's favorite movies. I mean, I really like it. We're doing an episode on he's just such a good director, Spielberg. Doing an episode
Oh
with
yeah.
his movie Duel, which is also very scary. If you it'll freak you out about having tailgaters. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. His like one of his first movies he did.
I don't think I
It's
have.
90 minutes of a guy getting chased by a truck in a car. Basically, there's almost no dialogue. He did it as a TV movie. It's
Okay.
terrifying. Yeah,
That's
makes
like
me
the
really
beginning of
uneasy
Jeepers
driving.
Creepers to me.
Yeah, I
That's
haven't
all I
seen that
can
one.
think of. No, yeah, it's like the begin. That's like the beginning of Jeepers Creepers. But it's Jeepers Creepers is way more than that. But that's how the Jeepers Creepers starts. And ever since that, I like freak out when there's like a big truck behind me on like a long
Mm.
road. I'm like, Jeepers Creepers.
I can't, unfortunately, I can't get into that movie now, or those guys because of the director. I don't know if you, it's weird.
Oh, you're gonna ruin it for me, aren't you?
Oh no, then just don't look him up. But he,
Don't look him up. I will though. That's the thing though.
okay,
And then once I find it's cool, don't ruin it for me. I need to do it.
he had some very, he did some very bad things. Well, it's not like I don't ever like me personally, like I get, like not wanting to, like I just feel like I've only ever seen one Woody Allen movie is the example I always use. And I just feel
Right.
like it'd be like strange. And I never watched the Cosby Show growing up. So like if I just started watching them now, it'd be like, that's kind of, I have way more understanding. Like if you watch the Cosby Show like a million times, I still think it's like, that one is a little bit of a rough case.
Yeah.
But, I like people going through like cancellation or whatever. Like if you grew up with something and it's like, it doesn't mean that thing. But if you get into it now, then I'm like, there's a lot of other things I could be doing with my time rather than watching, like starting to become a Cosby
Yeah.
Show fan or something.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. But
That's
I missed out
absolutely
on.
fair. And I do like
Yeah.
to have that Band-Aid ripped off too, because I want to
Yeah.
know the content that I'm consuming. I do my best to try to support artists that, are decent humans. I think
Yeah.
that's the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like, just be a decent human.
Yeah. Which, unfortunately, there's so much in the movie industry, definitely, that it's like, it just was not
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah. It's weird. It's funny you say, I got into an argument with a ex one time about, because I actually didn't want to bring this movie up, and when, I can't remember, I think we were talking about like, just like tech guys and how they are, but the other movie that, I think I'm going to add American Psycho to my list of like mini genres of movies, how it feels to like work in 21st century America. Like,
Yes.
just like having a job just feels like this movie. One of the other movies famously is Salò, which is like, this like infamous 1970s. The guy got killed for it. This director Pasolini. I don't know if you've seen Salò.
I have not.
It's like 2 hours of torture porn, basically.
Oh.
It's a brutal watch. But the guy, Pier Paolo Pasolini, he's like regarded as like this like brilliant Italian director. And he made it, he like transposed, it's like a Marquis de Sade. It's like Sal or the 120 Days of Sodom. And so he transposed like a Marquis de Sade story of like abuse and everything into 1940s fascist Italy. And he was making, it's a very political movie. And the reason he got, as far as I understand, he got killed for it by the right wing of Italy in the 70s, because they saw this movie and it portrayed him basically like, imagine if you had 100 Patrick Batemans and they were all self-aware in like a castle. And they went around kidnapping people, and they ran the country. That's like the movie. So it's like a really brutal watch. I forgot where I was going with this, of course, after bringing it up. Oh, because about in art, because like it's weird, like thinking about that movie, which depicts some pretty brutal things. But I think the production of the movie was like, as I understand it, was like relatively like, it was like, when I've read about it, it's like kind of more of a joyous thing. Like there's again, not to spoil it a little bit, but there's a scene where they make people eat excrement basically. But they said like when I was watching some things around it, it's like the actors like just had a hard time not laughing during the scene because they made like chocolate cake or something. And so the whole, like they just kept eating chocolate cake.
They were enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they just were having a hard time like filming the scene because they were laughing so much despite the content. But as opposed to something like watching Nickelodeon in the 90s, which like all the stuff around that, there's like crazy stuff, but like it's not on camera. It's just like the most innocent, like all that or whatever, right? So
yes, absolutely. I say early 90s like cartoon media is really, because you have like things like Red and Snippy that are just like totally like, you're like, okay, that is definitely
Powdered Toast Man.
Yeah, there's innuendo. Sorry, I can't speak. Innuendos everywhere, and you're like, all right, I see why adults like this.
Yeah. Those were always the ones I watched because my parents liked them.
Yeah, that's the thing. Same for mine. Like my dad never liked like regular stuff. It was always stuff that was for everyone to watch. Like, yeah, I'm sure it's so you could be entertained too.
Yeah, it's a good strategy. Rocko's Modern Life had a ton of that. I used to love that show.
Yes.
But then like there's compilations of that where it's just like, oh my god, I can't believe they got some of these jokes on.
Same thing with like Cat Dog's a little bit more calmer, but Cat Dog also too sometimes they're like like licking carpets and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah. So you said something interesting before too, just now about you like to know the backstory. So you like to know the backstory, like you said, the random, obviously with the gaming, right? You do that with the gaming, but I guess like in terms of people creating and designing and doing filmmaking, like you like to know the stories behind that as well.
it depends. Like it really depends because it's got to be something I'm really interested in. Like
Mm.
there's a mini series that aired like over 10 years ago, Over the Garden Wall. When that came out on Cartoon Network, I learned everything about that from like the
Mm.
production to like the color, the it really it like it's just call it my autism power or whatever. I don't know. But it's just whatever tickles my fancy.
Yeah,
And that's what
that's
it is.
cool.
Like I went through a Tim Burton phase. You know what I mean? I
Love
went
them.
through depends on who it is that week.
It's hyperfixation is the word, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, that I definitely feel that for sure. For sure. But I also think
My
it's
parents
interesting.
just thought I was curious though.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's like the yeah, I definitely got the oh, you're very curious and you have such a good memory for this stuff. And
Yes.
like,
Like,
yeah.
that's definitely something else.
Yeah, there's something going on there. Who knows what it is?
Yeah. No one collects as much as I do and is you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just say, yeah, I've never had like a formal diagnosis on that stuff, but
Yeah.
my therapist has given me some very funny looks where, it's
Same.
like where I'm like, I was like, "Oh, maybe I have like this or this." And he'll just be like, "Just give me the, for the
The head,
audio, just
the
yeah."
exact head tilt. I know the exact one you're doing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I get the same look a lot too when I see.
You think? Yeah.
"Oh."
But I do think it's interesting and well with these two movies because they're both I think in terms of there's no way to properly assess a movie, right? Although I will say people who think Patrick Bateman is a hero, I kind of agree that like that's kind of wrong. Like he's not a
It took
hero.
them. It took
Yeah.
them 4 seasons of The Boys to realize that it was about them. So I'm talking. That's all I'm gonna say. And
Yeah.
that's after that. That was enough of an example for me to be like, it takes a lot for some people to finally get it. We don't get to decide what straw breaks that camel's back. We're just
Hmm.
glad that that camel's back. Well, we're not glad an actual camel's back, but for the metaphor, we're just glad that that connection happened. They
Yeah.
figured it out eventually.
Yeah. Well, do you think so? As a gamer, I've always been curious. Like you know, I I'm definitely like games are art for sure. They're a different. They're a
Absolutely.
weird thing, right? But they're
Yes.
like it's so hard to like place them as like a thing. But there are definitely like I feel like a big flaw, honestly, in a lot of games. As like a the types of games I like generally. Undertale is like if you don't think that's like I can't imagine something like someone seriously experiencing that and not thinking that in particular is art because that's just something that can only be done as a game, I think.
Yep.
But I'd be curious like for you something I've always wondered like is there an issue with games in terms of could you do American Psycho as like a game? And I almost don't know like if you were in the perspective of like Patrick Bateman or something because like the interactivity of it and you sort of making yourself an active participant seems like there could be a lot of interesting stuff to it, but I don't know that like I think it would the reaction that you're talking about might actually
See,
be even more
here's
worried,
where I
right?
think it could be because we have things, and I was thinking about this before, we started talking. We have games like, and not a fantastic comparison, but a comparison, like Heavy Rain, where it is
Mm.
quite literally a psychological thriller. It is a visual, it's quite literally you're chasing after the origami killer and you're trying to figure out all of these things. So I think absolutely there could be like an American Psycho video game, at least like in
From
like
Defoe's perspective in that case,
you
like
could
Willem
do it
Dafoe's
from
in the
that.
movie.
You could, well, here's the thing with Heavy Rain. You play multiple different characters. So you're
Ooh.
both the victim of the person who was abducted. You're both playing the detective who's
Ah.
trying to figure it out. And then so there's a whole bunch of different, there's a journalist that you play.
Oh wow.
So you could even do maybe not that particular route, but just like the whole concept of it can be done, but it might
Interesting.
not be like a traditional like A to B storyline, you know?
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I think I've not played any of that. That's David Cage, right? Who's like known.
Yes.
He's like known for being like a more arty game direct. Probably
Yes.
one of the few big budgety guys. Like him and the BioShock guy, right? Is like
Yeah,
very
and
few people.
it's a great point too. Just to because I totally even forgot that that was literally the point of most of his games is that they're trying to go for almost the cinematic type of thing too. That's like
Yeah.
Quantum Dream. That is their MO, you know?
Well, that's one of the reasons I haven't played it, to be honest with you, because like when I hear that, I played a lot of like, oh, this is like a cinematic game, and it's like it always. I'm curious to multiple perspectives because I didn't know about that, but me
Yeah.
being just kind of like, I guess more casual, I was just like, well, if like I'd rather it like I don't like Undertale's not cinematic, but I'm looking for stuff like that, or the guy who does like Inscription, I really liked, and the Hex, and I can't remember the other one he did, but he in Pony Island. I don't know if you played any of those, but that guy gets like they're things that can only be done as games in a way that are like fundamental to gaming. I think is Stanley Parable is another one I think like which I loved.
I don't know if I played Stanley Parable, but I've
It's a
definitely heard people talk about that one though.
it's a fun one. I would definitely like that and Pony Island. But the interesting thing is like I think both those games and Undertale itself they all sort of talk about the interactivity of it. I think like as a which maybe that's just something I really like, but it's like they're very meta about like they like the games know you're playing a game, and so they're
Yeah,
talking to you like
Undertale really
yeah
messed me up when I played that because I didn't know that going in.
yeah
Um, and then like the first fight I think it is against your like mother and I killed her and it's like you killed your mother and I was like, "Wait, what do you mean? I had an option?"
yeah
And then I just felt
yeah
really bad after that. Yeah, that was not really proud of that one.
yeah. Didn't like one of the Call of Duties or something get controversy because of like a mall? I've not played those ones, but
Yes.
like
I
is
think that was Modern Warfare 2. It
yeah
was on the 360. I was in like high school when that happened.
yeah
Because they had this where it's like the no Russian thing where yeah,
yeah
you could even skip the mission too if you felt uncomfortable playing it. I didn't skip the mission. Um,
yeah. I generally play
yeah,
whatever try
or
and
not.
like separate
Yeah, they say like no. I
separate
can
yourself.
separate reality from the game. I'll be all right.
Yeah, I guess like is there like a particular thing about like that games do well that you think like I don't know what is emblematic of them as an art form, but like that they do particularly well as an art form. One thing that comes to mind, not to put you because I don't want to put you on the spot immediately answering, but for me is like environmental storytelling, which I talk on my channel when I made a video about like Elden Ring or movies that are like Elden Ring because like classic movies and even obviously both Blue Steel and American Psycho, the environment is so key to the storytelling as we started talking about like the New York City and everything else in a way that movies in the last 20 years I think have gone away from. So games have always like Super Metroid was always my favorite game as a kid, and that game is entirely told through the environment and your loneliness. To me, it was like a very isolating game. Um, but yeah, is there like a thing that you think games do particularly well?
I definitely think that it all depends on the game and the genre. I think that each game has its own special little ability. Like if I am in a very bad headspace, I'm probably gonna play a puzzle game.
Mm,
Especially because it helps me process whatever the hell's happening. But
mm,
like horror games are very good at terrifying, and some people might not feel that way either, but horror games
yeah,
terrify me to no extent. I will fall for a jump scare every time.
yeah. Even in non
I,
games,
even
like
in I try
Half
not
Life and Half Life
to.
Two. You know?
Yes, I try not to, and still have. So even in like a game like Detroit Become Human, there's not so much jump scares, but there's this whole like part where you're in this like robot like
Mm,
fact like this graveyard, and it's just all of these human-like people and they're asking for help, but they're robots and they're dying in front of you, and it's just it's really spooky, and I don't know
yeah,
why that one stuck with me because it's like it's in nature, it's not really scary, it's just a bunch of in theory just garbage, but
yeah,
it's talking garbage. That's
yeah.
scary.
That reminds me of like was it Inside and Limbo? Those
Yes.
games are quite good if you haven't played
Same
those
thing
out
with like
there.
a game like Little Nightmares. I don't know if you ever played that.
I've been wanting to, but I haven't. Again,
I
that's
played
like,
the
yeah,
first one. I haven't played the second one yet, but same thing where you're just this little tiny you are alone. No one's gonna help you. You just gotta jump and get much like Limbo and Inside.
mm. Yeah, both those games are fantastic. The
Yeah.
Forest, I really quite liked.
The Forest.
Yeah, that scared the it's probably maybe the funnest. I live with my two brothers and my friend is basically like a third brother. It's like probably the funnest time we've had playing
Oh,
like a
so
co-op
it, and
game.
you just get it. The more people that you get to join, the funner it is.
Yeah,
It's a great time. I can beat
Valheim
that
was really
game.
fun with that.
I don't think I played that.
It's kind of like one of those like crafty early.
Oh
It was
wait,
like
no, yes
early
I did.
access.
I didn't
Yeah,
play too much of it though.
I like the
I didn't
building.
only play. I did like the art style because it was so much different than like because so many games want to look like graphically realistic, like pushing whatever the boundaries of reality, and sometimes you just want to go for a vibe.
Yeah,
So
the Forest. It's actually probably an interesting comparison to American Psycho, because like my experience of playing the Forest is like we just immediately started chopping people up. It's like we needed the food, so it's
yeah,
like immediately we
the
had
descent
like
into
yeah.
cannibalism in that game is really quick.
It took us about 2 minutes,
It
right? We were
takes
just like,
yeah, and here's the thing: like I didn't realize that you could get like you could go crazy. I don't even think that really affects you. They just add that into the game, maybe to
yeah,
guilt people into not doing it. But yeah, no. When I played with my sister and our friends, my one friend's mission was just specifically only eat legs,
mm,
um, nothing else, just legs. I'm like,
yeah.
all right.
We had the whole racks. It was like very funny because like it was like we had the little community of it because it's like we had our base. We picked a spot.
Yep.
It was like building a little homestead. And it was honestly like a cozy game, but we were just chopping people up and
That's the other thing too, is like we got
yeah,
to a point where we had zip lines to other people's builds and it was a great time and you forgot the fact that there was this cannibals that were trying to kill you because you're like, oh man, I gotta get some of this water out of the turtle shell.
yeah. But it kind of it does kind of turn you into like that sort of like Patrick Bateman type character. Which I don't know if did you have a chance to watch the special feature
Yes, I did.
thing?
I was so
Bro,
surprised when I opened it up and it was like phallic and I was like, oh,
yeah,
my speakers were all the way up.
yeah. I think it shout out. I think her name is Jennifer Mormon. I want to say professor at Fordham. But she did a feature on the Blue Steel movie where I think it just opens up with the female dick, and then it just
Yes.
like just talks about
It's
like
like
the
the
phallic
phallic
imagery.
female dick and I was like, okay.
Yeah, but it kind of does like she talks I think in that one about objective violence versus subjective violence. Like in I thought it was interesting. I honestly, I was being pretty basic. Like the reason I picked Blue Steel after you picked American Psycho was just that like it's just the other to me like sort of iconic kind of New York City like serial killer-ish movie from the 90s directed by a woman.
And it's so
Um
funny because that's not the reason why I thought you made me pick it. It wasn't until
oh,
it was oh crap, what's his name? Eugene. He was exercising in the gym and he's going
yeah.
nuts. And I was like, I get it now. Because he is like
Yeah.
Patrick Bateman, who's this over obsessed, he's this Wall Street guy, he's making all the money, he can have whatever he wants, and he's just screwing up his entire life.
Yeah.
For
I
nothing.
thought to be honest with you, I totally forgot about that. I totally forgot he was a finance guy.
And then
But
when I
and that
found out she was a
yeah.
female director, I was like, oh, okay, that's the reason.
Yeah. But it did end up I thought this ended up being like a great pairing so much I'll probably make a whole video on like these two movies like
It's a
from
good compare and contrast.
yeah, cuz I wrote some notes on it. Both movies to your point, finance guys going crazy, directed by women. Even when you just talk about horror without being horror, like both these movies are pretty terrifying, despite
Yeah.
like I don't know if American Psycho is considered a horror, maybe.
Here's the thing. I thought it was. When I spoke to my husband, he said, no, it's a drama because he doesn't actually kill anyone. That was his logic.
Mm,
Um, I kind of agree that it actually doesn't really fit. It's like thriller. I would say
yeah,
more thriller than horror.
I think I'd put like probably Blue Steel thriller. I think I'd put Psycho in the Monster Mellow horror thing, like the Invisible
Yeah,
Man, Wolfman.
that's probably more on par.
Yeah, male melodrama.
Yeah.
You could definitely. people getting gaslit, like Jamie Lee Curtis in Blue Steel, Bateman in American Psycho. Like no one wants to believe either of them. They both even have like down to the like don't walk shots where they like prominently display like the don't walk like signs in New York City. And then to your point, finance guys working out obsessively, finance guys covered in blood, finance guys picking up and killing sex workers, and both are like sort of modern tech coded. Like tech guy coded, at least to me. Like Bateman in character, Silver's got all the computers in his house.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was happy with the pairing. So yeah, how did you find Blue Steel? Did you like Blue Steel?
So originally, I was like really kind of like, I was being really mean to Jamie Lee Curtis's character because I was like, you dumb bitch, you left the gun. You dumb bitch, you left the gun.
Oh yeah.
You dumb bitch. The whole time from the first sequence, I was like, dumb bitch, dumb bitch, dumb bitch, dumb bitch. And it wasn't until like, and I kept having to repeat to myself, it's because it's her first day. It's because it's her first day. It's because it's her first day. Because like, as much as you can go through all of the training in the world, the first time that situation happens to you, all of it could go away. So I could definitely see her just stepping over the gun and walking away and everything. But my whole part was like, you could have saved us 2 hours of screen time had you just picked up the damn gun.
Yeah. It's a fascinating, I couldn't stop thinking about that because, like, to your point, she's kind of, it's one of the more unrealistic, like, women character. Like, I don't think any woman that I've ever met, not to be, again, I feel like I'm always gender reductionist on the show. I'm not trying to be that, but, like, every woman I would probably clock Ron Silver from a minute in. Like, a minute of knowing Ron Silver would be like, oh, yeah, this guy's killing people.
Yeah, and she was blatantly very oblivious to it too. And I think it was just because she just had so much happening at work that she was just so happy that somebody would listen to her and pay attention to her, which I feel is unfortunately what happens to a lot of female victims is we are ignored by just society in general, and then somebody just takes advantage.
Yeah. I do wonder if it's like how much of it is Bigelow. I'd be curious. Like, I would love to talk to her because I don't know that I've ever. She's another one that doesn't. I don't think talk about her work too much. But I've always wondered. I think you mentioned something about like, maybe we talked about like to what extent the. It was like when we were. You mentioned about like knowing the history behind the stuff. I've always been curious about this movie. How much of it is sort of like an autobiographical look at her career as like. Maybe the only woman, like one of the very, very few prominent women directors working in Hollywood in the mid 80s to 90s, which like, it's hard not to make that comparison with her biography and Jamie Lee Curtis's character. And I wonder how much she's almost commenting on herself being kind of oblivious and like just trying to be like one of the boys. Cause like if Jamie Lee Curtis's character was a dude, I could like totally buy it. It's like, oh, she forgets it. All dudes are generally very clueless in relationships classically, right? So it's like she doesn't see that this person is a psycho, blah 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 blah. But she's not. She's like she's a woman, but she's not. She doesn't have like the typical social codings of like femininity of the time, which I thought was, I don't know. I'm just curious, like how much is that Bigelow or this character or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the whole like psychology that was kind of like built into this movie too, which I honestly didn't even realize most of it until I started watching like the director's commentary, and they're talking about like how how much control a gun has, and just like how it completely changes the power dynamic of a situation, and it's like. Yeah, like this whole movie might have not even happened had Jamie Lee Curtis just stayed on the other side of the street and got her damn coffee.
Yeah.
Because he might have just taken that money and run away, and then Eugene would have never gotten the gun, and then he might have went psycho at some point, but at least it wouldn't have been Megan's fault.
Yeah, the gun and like that's why I wanted to send the special features on, because like the gun and the phallic imagery, everything. I always like when I first watched this is probably my third or fourth time watching it because I just love the movie and I love Kathryn Bigelow. I also just love looking at it. It's such a beautiful movie, as is American Psycho. But it was kind of like the perceptions, of I guess like. And not even to be gender reductionist about it, but like being perceived like, what is it, sign mail, AFAB or AMAB, like being like, I would just, it's fascinating, like the ease of which to me, it's like the main point of the movie is like the ease of which of like Ron Silver's character has the gun, and he's almost like encouraged, and he's easy, and he's able to just like do whatever he wants with it. It's like, you can interpret that as like sexuality, just being a man versus a woman. But like, Jamie Lee Curtis, she shoots her gun one time and she gets it taken away, and she gets stalked, and she gets like, so it's like she gets basically punished and gaslit by everyone in the movie. But it's so easy for Ron Silver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, literally was identified as a shooter for killing her friend, and the lawyer's like, well, you didn't directly see her face. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what? And how
Yeah.
is this? How is that a full stop for the rest of the NYPD? I mean, I could see this actually happening, but how really? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the sad part. This is a reality that women do actually face.
Yeah.
Where people don't take them seriously when there are like those accusations out there.
Yeah.
Which is
It's like
unfortunate.
true but not real, if that makes sense, I think, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the individual scene of like the defense lawyer is not going to be in the apartment saying like and talking the guns out.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not going to talk the guys out of arrest them. Every cop I've ever known or met, not that I've known too much, but like every cop my dad was a defense lawyer and everything. Like the only thing he said to me growing up about cops was like, they just lie all the time. That's all they do is lie. So he's like, every cop, like Jamie Lee Curtis, she would just, she would say, oh yeah, I saw him, or whatever. It's like, yeah, I ascertained however the hell they use it. Like I ascertained the identification of the thing by, yeah, the defense lawyer wouldn't talk it, but to your point, it's true, right? Because that is how society treats women, like in general. And that is like the experience of being a victim in that situation.
Right. Like it
Yeah.
might not have played out exactly as that scene, but I could definitely see it like going forward, like where like the first time that he's arrested, I could see it playing exactly out like that. The lawyer shows up and is like, well, and then starts questioning everything. But the other part that's interesting about that scene was the fact that like he had messed up the apartment to make it look like that they had broken and entered and everything, because he almost was always one step ahead of Jamie Lee Curtis's character the
Yeah.
whole movie, because he's constantly like he was prepared. Like he knew to get rid of the gun after he shot the friend. He knew to like have the apartment door slightly open so when Jamie and Brown, I think the guy's last name is the actor's name. I know him as Mr. Krabs, but
Yeah. Clancy Brown.
yes, Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know him as Mr. Krabs. So
Yeah.
Mr. Krabs' character show up.
Yeah. Mr. Krabs is
Yeah, Mr. Krabs shows up, and yeah, and
who,
then that's
what
when
his character's name is in this? By like, I don't know if you caught that. Is just Man. I think he's Detective Man. Like, it's a bit on the. It's almost like
Yeah.
kind of on the nose, right?
And the whole time I just kept hearing Eugene. I just kept thinking of Eugene Krabs because of Mr. Krabs. I was like,
Is that what his name is? I've never watched.
no, that's
SpongeBob.
Eugene is the yeah, Mr. Krabs' name is Eugene Krabs. That's technically his name is Eugene Krabs. So, but there's a character in here named Eugene, so I just kept thinking of Eugene Krabs because
Yeah.
SpongeBob's
I can't-
amazing, and you should watch at least the first 3 seasons. That's all you have to do. Nothing else, okay?
That was the last one where it was the first one where I felt alienated from my friends because like I stopped watching cartoons probably in 6th grade, but then I moved schools from like 6th to 7th to 8th. But when I moved down, my new friend group was still all cartoon people, and they all knew SpongeBob. But I just was like, I was just not that I had any. I just like I don't
Oh,
know,
it's
to
so
change
good.
channels.
Even as an adult, it's so good.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
I
It's,
recommend.
yeah, I should watch it.
At least,
Yeah.
like, seriously, it's like the first 3 seasons, and then after that, I don't know what happened, but it just got really bad after that.
Yeah, if you want to see Mr. Krabs gaslighting someone for a while, you should watch this movie. It's kind of weird. Yeah,
Yeah,
He's definitely-
and then he randomly has that, and the other thing that the only thing that really threw me off about the movie was the random romantic encounter that they had. I'm like, that happened out of nowhere. I did not feel any chemistry between you two.
yeah, it was an interesting one. I wonder how much control she had over the movie, because I thought if to the extent I have a criticism of the movie, I thought it probably like maybe 10-15 minutes could have been cut, and I feel like some of the stuff around Eugene, which by the way, when I can't think of the rest. I don't know if you're a wrestling fan, but there was a Eugene the wrestler. I can't even describe what this guy was, but they had like this was as late as probably 2004, 2005. Shows you how much wrestling has changed, I guess. Not that I watch it anymore, but when I was a kid, they had a special needs wrestler who wasn't actually special needs, but in the thing, his character was like special needs, like when they called him Eugene, and he came to the ring, and like he was like a, yeah, it was wild that they're doing that as late as 2005.
Yeah, well, the early 2000s was a wild time to be alive.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, I thought that like the romantic plot I didn't think necessarily needed, with like her and Clancy Brown. I kind of wonder if that was almost like hewing to like genre conventions or something, or like
I was
you gotta have.
actually going to suggest that too, almost like because like I feel like sometimes they have to put in these kind of things just to like, you
Yeah.
know, please the people who might not want to view things from an artistic lens.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you
I
can
don't
tell
know a
that.
nicer way to say that.
No, I think you're totally right. I made a video a little bit about that, like talking about the director Delmer Daves, where like he was like in the 40s and 50s, like it's harder sometimes to, excuse me, to I think to like identify the characteristics of a director, because like they were, a lot of them were like pros, and it's like, I'll direct this movie despite having nothing to do with them. They would just sort of like come in as like a hired gun or something.
Yeah.
And so the war movies that Delmer Daves did, you can just kind of tell when watching that he just has zero interest in it. But whenever there's like a family drama or like something lurid, he's like, he spends a lot of time on those scenes. But I almost feel like with Bigelow, it's like, okay, we got to have our like sex scene between the two big stars. And it's like very, very 1990, like very 1985, 1995 type stuff. But she doesn't, you can almost tell that like she just didn't seem that interested in it, you know, compared to the rest of the
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, it was just seemed like completely just like thrown in there, just because we need to get rid of. I don't know. It was like completely thrown off. I'm like, then he was shot, and we don't know if he's okay at the end of the movie. We just know that he's in the hospital.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like a little. I'm like, how's Mr. Krabs doing though? Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need to know how Mr. Krabs is.
Yeah. Because he turns night, and she almost gets him killed. Like
Yeah.
I thought she would like twice. Like, well, I mean, not twice because like, you know, Ron Silver's just hiding in their house, but she
Right.
handcuffs him to the door, and he almost. I thought he was going to die there.
I thought so too. I
Yeah.
thought she was going to like kill him there and just like take the shot, but she only shot him in the shoulder.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's really interesting is like at the end of the movie, I just thought of that now, is when she actually kills him at the end, is he almost kind of predicted this in a way.
Yeah.
Because he, all the way back when she first figures it out that, oh shit, he's the guy who took the gun, he is from the grocery store, he
Yeah.
even says, like, you have this, or I don't know the exact wording he uses, but he's like, you have this in you, and
You have this power or something, right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
he's like, it's killing or whatever, and you're not really sure. And even in the commentary, they mention it too, where you're not sure whether he's referring to taking the life out of somebody's eyes or if he is referring to you killing, like, you know, you. So it's just
Yeah.
interesting.
It is. She is like she's one of my like literally like one of my all time favorite directors, and I think part of it is because there's so much ambiguity in her movies, and I think this one in particular is one of my very favorite endings. I think in any movie. First of all, just her blowing him away, I thought was so
Yeah.
real to the character. Like so many
And
movies would have been like, you know,
satisfying.
they would have done the Batman ending of like, no, it's like I'm gonna handcuff you and take you in, but it's like. No, yeah, it's satisfying. It's like maybe the most satisfying death in like anything. But also,
Part
she
of me
kind
was 50-50 though. Part of me, when she was pointing the gun at him, I was like, shoot him in the kneecap. Shoot him right in the kneecap. Just enough so he
Yeah.
can't walk again. But then I'm like, you know what? Listen, this is why I'm not a police officer. All right.
yeah, I was hoping. Yeah, I was like blow him away.
But then when she actually blew him away, I was like, you know what?
Yeah,
You know what? I get it. Jamie, I get it. I would have done the same thing, really.
but then she's ambiguous about it, which I thought like that's to me where this movie turns like from like really really good to like brilliant. I can't stop thinking about it. And the lady, I think it's Dr. Mormon in the thing, pointed out that like it's kind of is like a self. That's why I wonder the autobiographical. It seems like my sort of headcanon about this, right, is like that Bigelow being the only lady director, one of them working in Hollywood, like at the time, is like she is Jamie Lee Curtis and she's finally like got to make a movie and she's done all this thing, but like now she's ambiguous at the end of it. And she's like, she doesn't know, like, is this a good thing? Did I do what I wanted? Like, does this even matter? Like, did I just like, and she like, it's almost like she's like, did I just finish this guy off for him? Because like, he wants her, like he asked her earlier in the movie to like point it out.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if it's like a thing of like, she's almost like, like he's surprised that I think he's surprised that he actually get shot, but like it was something that he kind of almost wanted. So it's like, is she making a statement about if you're a woman that tries to, like, I think what the lady in the video said, like tries to girl boss your way through and to be like the super strong, like, you know, CEO, like be the individual woman in the male dominated world, that it might end up being almost like a hollow victory or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just interesting too, because it's like, even with the whole like girl boss thing, like specifically when she first gets her uniform, like that's a really big girl boss moment where like she walks past the other girls and they look at her and
Yeah.
we've, well, all us ladies all had that moment where someone's been like, I like your purse, and it's like, oh my God, you know, like, okay.
Yeah.
So I definitely can see, like, there
proud of
is
her
a lot
probably
of,
too, right?
yeah. There's a lot of realism there too. But also, even at the end of the movie, when she like finally shoots him and she drops the gun, you can see the visual like relief, like, oh my God, this is done. This game of cat and mouse is finally fucking over with. Because that's what it turned into. It turned into a game of cat and mouse. When was he going to strike next? Where the fuck was he gonna come from? Like, because he's hiding in, you know, he's digging in the dirt in the park, and next thing you know, he's inside her house in her bathroom, ripping out the bullet from his arm.
Yeah.
Rude, he didn't clean up, but whatever. That's here nor there.
No man was he raised by wolves.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Like, how rude.
Yeah. Well, honestly, even both digging for the gun too. Like he's burying it like a dog, right?
Yes.
He's this very primal person
He
in
just
this
went
movie.
you just see him completely go from like this person who's like literally high on like this stockbroker. He's got everything that he could want. He could probably have any woman that he, you know, with the amount of money he has, and he is. This is what he chooses to. This is what you choose to do with your life, like.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I almost want one of my other headcanons is I wonder if this movie is about being married to James Cameron, because she was married to James Cameron during this time. Well, I think from 87 to 90 or something. James Cameron, viewers probably know who he is, but you know, Avatar, Titanic, Terminator 2, Terminator. He very famously one of the more intense like guys on set in Hollywood and just in his personal life. So I almost wonder, like, is this like a if I ever get to interview her, and I knock on wood, I hope I do, I kind of might just ask her, like, is this what being married to James Cameron is like? But also his ascent through the film industry, he kind of got, I don't want to say he got it easy because he made successful movies, but I think he was a truck driver before he got into like Hollywood movies. But like Bigelow was like an art, like she was like a artist and like an art, like she had to like, she was like all these things, like she had to grind her way up.
Do.
Yeah. And, well,
I don't even mean like just like look at the number of female directors we still have, you know, like even with the video game industry, how many there's like, I think maybe the percentage is like not even 50% of us making up the executive branch of the video game industry. So we have the statistics to back it up to show you that we are so underrepresented in multiple fields. So I'm not even surprised to see that they could just pick up some old homeless dude on the street and give him the ability to direct, and that she would have to.
I wonder, like, you gotta wonder if that's what it's about, like, you know, because it's like, did she see James Cameron just like, well, you get it's like you get this one movie, and then now you get to do Terminator with this huge budget, and then now you get to do, I think, Aliens. You get to do the sequel to Alien, which, and then you get to do The Abyss, and then you get to do Terminator 2 with the biggest budget ever, and. Which also, the other thing about Bigelow, I kind of wonder how much this, like Terminator 2, one of my favorite movies. I feel like she's sort of like another thing that happens. Men stealing women's work, right? This movie, the visual style and even the score is by the same guy, Terminator 2, Brad Fidel, I think, or Fidel. And I kind of wonder how much James Cameron watched that during Terminator 2 with like the blue lights and the way he shot the city and all that. And like, I think Bigelow has been secretly influential on a number of dudes that you don't really hear talked about in terms of like being influential. But between this and, I don't know if you're a David Lynch fan, but the movie The Loveless, it was co-directed by Bigelow and one of David Lynch's producers, and it's so Lynchian before Lynch did any of that stuff. Like it's very Twin Peaks coded. So, but I don't ever hear her talked about. I have a lot of respect
for David Lynch, though. I don't really know much of his work, but just from the like clips and things that I've seen from like Twin Peaks and everything, it's like.
Oh,
just writing so beyond or so ahead of his time.
Yeah. He's one of my all-time favorites. So it's no shame at him. I just, you know, I haven't seen her called out as like a as like an influence, despite
absolutely.
Later stuff being. But I mean, that's again common. You don't hear like a lot of men ever saying like, "Well, this woman was a big influence on me," right? It's like men to men you hear, and women to women you hear.
Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I love Will Ferrell," and then you're like, "Name a female comedian." They're like,
Yeah, yeah, Tina Fey,
Tina
maybe.
Poehler.
Right.
It's Tina Poehler,
Yeah,
isn't it?
Tina Poehler. Yeah, Amy Faye, Tina Poehler.
Tina Poehler. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean that feminist one?
Yeah, the lady one.
The lady one?
Yeah, the one lady comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought in the autobiographical, like, have you seen Zero Dark 30 that Bigelow did, the Bin Laden one?
No, I have not.
So she did the Bin Laden one. It's fat. Do you like the movie Les Mis, which also weird connection to?
It's so funny. I just saw Les Mis for the first time like a couple months ago.
Sweet.
Mainly because it's just like everything going on. I'm like, probably should refresh my history a little here.
It's a good one. I like the movie. I saw it on Broadway one time. It was really good. It was very fun.
I have a lot of respect for it. I thought it was. I struggle a lot with musicals. I don't really like them. Mainly just because I'm like,
now we
why
gotta
are
end the
you
podcast.
Yeah. Well, it's like, why are you singing right now? Like, this is not the time to sing. Like,
It's always the time to
there's
sing.
bombs going off. Why are you singing?
I love musicals.
But and I say this, but my favorite movie is The Nightmare Before Christmas, which is a musical.
Oh, yeah.
So
Right.
it's like, I'm a hypocrite. I know. Okay, the irony is not lost on me here.
Yeah.
But there's.
I loved them.
I
I'm
mean,
pretty late coming to them.
it depends though. It totally depends because like something like if you put on High School Musical, I will freak out. I will not watch it. But
I've
if
never
you're
seen
gonna
that one.
put it, don't bother. I'm just. But if you put on something like Sweeney Todd,
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna have a great time.
Shout out Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
I still need to, I don't think I've seen, I think I saw a taped version. I think I might have gone to a play maybe at some point in high school. But I've never seen the Johnny Depp one. But I just did, that's, if you saw my video on Hangover Square, that's the movie that's based on, actually, interestingly. Is if you like, shout people out there, if you like Sweeney Todd, movie Hangover Square from the 40s is very, very good. The reason I brought up Les Mis was about the autobiographical stuff, maybe with Bigelow, is the movie she did after. So she was the first woman famously to win Best Director. It only took, I think, 90 years, maybe 85 years.
Wow, that was ahead of schedule.
It was, yeah. And I think there's been maybe one more. I think maybe just one more lady. I think Chloe.
That sounds about right.
I think I can't remember the lady's name. I'm gonna look up women best directors. Where does it say director? It gave me a whole list. Okay, Kathryn. Oh, three. Okay, Kathryn Bigelow, Chloe Zhao, and Jane Campion.
Yeah, I was gonna say those are the three I got too.
Yeah. So yeah, it took which the 2009 was the 82nd Academy Awards. And it only took 82 years for a lady. She was only the fourth nominee. Yeah, Lena Wertmuller, I guess it took 1976, which is the 49th, for a woman to be nominated, and then it took 93 Jane Campion, the piano, 2003 Sofia Coppola, Lost in Translation, and in 2009 Kathryn Bigelow, Hurt Locker finally won.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then 2021. So well into past Donald Trump's first term, the 94th Academy Awards, Jane Campion became the first woman with multiple nominations in this category. Yeah, wild. So Bigelow was the first lady to win win director for Hurt Locker, which is absolutely deserved. That's one of my very favorite movies. Incredible movie. I love it. But the movie she made, the reason I brought up Les Mis is the movie she made after Hurt Locker was Zero Dark 30, about the Bin Laden hunt, the hunt for Bin Laden, and it's a really good movie, really great movie. But again, the Les Mis thing is, when I watched it with a buddy, he said that it was Les Mis but like it's Les Mis except if it was Bin Laden, because like the Javert character, or whatever, I guess the Russell Crowe in the movie, she puts that as a just like kind of like a almost nameless CIA woman in there who spends her whole life in this male, it's very similar to Blue Steel, whole life in like this male-dominated CIA field, like just trying to go after Bin Laden, trying to hunt him down her whole life. And then at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, Bin Laden dies. They capture Bin Laden or kill Bin Laden during the raid. And the movie ends in a very similar way to Blue Steel, where she's sitting in like alone in this transport helicopter, being like, "What have I done with my life?" And it's almost like those movies I always thought would be fascinating companion pieces, because it's like Blue Steel, it's like her just getting into it and being like, "What am I about to do with my life? What am I doing?" But then when she finally like reaches the apex of it, the first woman to win Best Director, like regarded now as like this brilliant artist. But now she's like the movie that she made immediately after that happened to her was a movie about how empty that feels after doing it, which I thought was, I don't know, fascinating.
Yeah, that's like pretty dark too, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's like trying to put a smile on, and you're like,
Yeah.
everything's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I highly recommend that's a to your point, actually, that's also another good one. That'd be a good pairing with American Psycho, I think, because of the complaint you had mentioned before about like guys being like, well, Patrick Bateman's the hero or whatever. The movie like Zero Dark 30 was like, a lot of people called it like propaganda or something, but I thought it was more her just portraying like CIA guys kind of just like accurately. Like they're very psychotic in the movie, and they're very like they torture people and they do this and they do that, and I think that's her, like she's just very like, this is what it is, like this is like kind of who they are. But yeah, I don't know how you stop people from getting positive inspiration from a movie that portrays them.
It's like, how do you explain to somebody that's like, yeah, he's got good skin, but you don't want to be him. Like,
Yeah, he does have great skin.
yeah, like he's
Yeah,
got
you
great
could do the
skin.
skin, you don't need to do the rest of it, you know.
Well, I mean, do you need to do this? Like, I mean, take
You
care
don't
of your
need to do
skin,
the skin.
obviously, but like, do you need to be that obsessed with your vanity? Like, is your outer appearance really that? And I'm not saying wear a burlap sack here, but you
Yeah.
know, you don't need 5 things of moisturizer.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder like how, like I'm trying to think of a way to say this, but like, yeah, I wonder like how I do kind of, so we talked about like, autism or neurodivergence, like touched on it a little bit before. This movie could support multiple interpretations of like, because it opens up with him masking, right? Like just him,
Oh,
you
100%.
know?
He's masking the whole film. Every time he's in front of somebody, he is never his true, authentic self. He
Yeah.
is always trying to be portrayed as the smartest, most of best of everything. Even when he couldn't get the restaurant reservation, he's like, I'm not going to admit it. I'm still right.
Yeah.
So,
He just wants to fit in, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. He's yeah, a lot of it's definitely, I can see like the closeted readings of this movie for sure, which I think this movie does. I mean, the one time he like doesn't kill a dude, I think, is when the guy like
In the bathroom, yeah.
yeah, with the bathroom, when the guy kisses his hand.
Yeah, and he puts this, but the thing is, like, you're watching the scene and it's like, okay, I could definitely see why that guy would interpret it that way. Like, you just, like, didn't
Yeah.
do anything when he turned around. You just stared at him.
Yeah.
But you had no issue killing this homeless man and his dog, and you tried to stick a cat to an ATM. Like,
Yeah. And he says, I think he later says, like, to the homeless, like, I had nothing in common with the homeless guy, he says at a later point in the movie. But then he calls him, in the moment, I think he calls him an F slur or something. He says, like, oh yeah, I had to kill that F slur, like that F slur that I killed in the, he's using the hard God, I don't know, just to make the, like
yes,
the,
yeah.
yeah, he's, yeah, but he says he has nothing in common with him, which I thought was, like, and that's the language he uses to describe the guy, the homeless guy in the alley.
Yeah. And he's also, like, completely desensitized to porn, because he clearly has it, like, just playing in the background.
Yeah,
So
very
he's
Kanye
just-
coded.
Yeah, like, it's just, like, it's just playing there in the background, like, it's just, like, a regular TV show, and he's always returning videotapes.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminded me, like, I'd be curious, like, people have said that, like, as sort of Kanye has had his own struggles, let's say, I don't know what to describe this, Kanye West, with mental health issues, is that was like a constant thing of him in the studio for like the last 10, 15 years. It's just playing porn while he's working all the time, like Patrick Bateman.
He's following the story.
Yeah.
Because Kanye is the only one who watches it for the story.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is Yeah, he watches. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I
That
do
is,
say. I mean,
I'm just saying.
yeah, I will say. I kind of wonder. It's. I think I talked about this on. Well, it's not out yet, but by the time you listen to this, viewer, it'll probably be 2 episodes ago. 2 episodes ago, I did a episode with Katie Osiris, who's an ADHD sex educator. Big online, very good episode. We talked about Crash and Secretary, and the 1996 Crash, to be clear, which is all about people getting horned up for car crashes, and Secretary is like doing a BDSM story. Very, very fun. But the movies, like it, I was nostalgic almost for that, and maybe you feel this way, like as a child of the 90s and physical media collector. Like I think a lot of the reason people like in this movie, I almost got like a little twinge of like, I missed that, because like they had the videotapes, like you had the tapes, and you had like the nice CRT, you had the CRT monitor.
I was
and
thinking that. Well, anytime I see a CRT, I'm like, ooh, look at that little CRT there.
The video camera he had was like, oh, that's such a sick video camera that he's using to record himself. Beautiful.
Yeah, even just like watching him be on the phone too, and the answering machine too, nostalgic. Like that was like what you used to do when you'd come home from like, at the end of the day, the first thing you'd run to the check your answering machine.
Yeah, it's got the nice click on it, and he's got the stereo system has like a nice like all the knobs and everything.
Wood grain too.
Yeah, wood grain. That's the nice, like, a lot of his apartment doesn't look very comfortable at all, but there's a lot of nice textures. Like, at least like the technologically, he seems like he has it together.
It's just empty and lonely. And there's no personality.
The one thing I think he has is the Les Mis, like the one thing with color is like the Les Mis poster.
Yeah.
But like the art on the wall is like an empty suit, which like, very... Yeah. Very environmental storytelling. It was interesting
because like he was very obsessed with music too, like especially when he's talking about like Huey Lewis, and Hit to Be Scared. No, I'm sorry, Hit to Be Squared. Hit to Be Squared. That's the Einstein Kill song, wrong song, whatever. But when he's talking about that, and then he's when he's with the ladies of the night later, there he's also talking to them about music, and it's this neurodivergent way of talking about it too. Yes. I don't know how to like explain it, where it's like when you talk to somebody who is just like super hyper fixated on something and they tell you every detail of how it is, I know because I am that person.
It's practice too, right?
Yeah, and I'm like watching that and I'm like, I know what that is from a mile away.
Yeah. Huey Lewis and the News, I thought their first album was, less a critical and commercial success. Yep. But by the time they hit their second album, they were in full swing, In
the monotone delivering of all of it, just like so...
Yeah.
Christian Bale really does it, but Christian Bale's a psychopath in the best way possible. I mean, for acting, because he's a method actor. So
yeah. What a performance, though.
Say what you want about that. It's a good performance.
Yeah. Whatever he did to get it, it's like it is an astoundingly good performance. I don't know who won Best Actor in that year. I think it was Kevin Spacey, I want to say, for American Beauty. I think this is me being, my own nerver. But yeah, funny how that aged. Because that's also a movie. I don't know. Have you seen American Beauty? It's been years since I've seen that one.
It's been years since I've seen American Beauty. I don't even remember the majority of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that's a movie of. I want to say, like there's a lot of sort of similar, like closeted, male masculinity. It's got like honestly fairly similar themes. I don't even think he got nominated. That is wild for
that's
1999. Yeah, that's kind of crazy now that I think about it.
That's maybe damn shame.
Was this? Oh, this was 2000. Okay, so maybe he did get nominated. Now I'm kind of curious. I got to know if he did. So 73rd. Who won it in that? Russell Crowe won it for Gladiator.
I mean, we were entertained, so...
It is a good movie. Yeah, Crowe, Javier Bardem, Tom Hanks for Castaway, Ed Harris, and Jeffrey Rush. Willem Dafoe got nominated for a different movie, which is weird. He got nominated for Shadow of the Vampire. A lot of these movies I haven't seen. That's kind of wild. Yeah, I think this movie holds up better than... I like Gladiator quite a bit. Gladiator is a very fun movie, but it's interesting that won Best Picture and Best Actor. I think this is probably the best movie I've seen in this year, I would think. 2000. Not that I've seen it a ton, but... That is... Yeah, okay, so you got... So Blue Steel, American Psycho, you got finance guys going crazy, directed by women. The ease and no consequences of being a rich white dude is another thing I wrote in my notes.
Yeah.
God, it got to be nice to be like a super wealthy rich white dude.
Even just
Feels
like
so
him
easy
just
mode.
carrying the first body to the car and like
Yeah,
no one's questioning anything.
yeah.
Like
They don't
quite
want to get involved.
literally the other day I was bringing my garbage can to the curb and a guy pulled over and started catcalling me. So like
Jeez.
taking my garbage down to the curb, not just like, hey, da da da, trying to be friendly. I'm like, I don't want to talk to you. Don't talk to me. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? The
Well,
women have
surely
no
you were
peace
purposely
ever.
attractively doing it, right? You were trying to like elaborately, you were
Well,
like,
actually, I grabbed the wrong can. I grabbed the garbage. It was supposed to be the recycling, and I grabbed the garbage can, so I don't walk back and forth. And he's just like, "Oh, you don't know your cans, do you?" I'm like, "The fuck does that even mean?"
yeah, yeah. What is that? That's a weird thing to say.
People say weird shit to me all the time. Like it's like, just
I
stop.
would imagine.
It is. I firsthand experience of just people just shouting weird things to you.
Yeah. That is I talk on my channel about female perspective, and I made some videos on Christopher Strong in the 30s about Dorothy Arzner was the only woman director working in that time. Another thing I really love about Bigelow's movies is the perspective when she's shooting city scenes is like, I don't know how to describe it. It's the most like woman perspective when she's like filming the scenes, when she's like initially in the cop, like she's seeing all the people, and when she's photographing like the people playing chess or like on the side of the road. It's like the way women have described to me, it feels like the way they walk through cities. Like just like, who's that? Is that like, it's kind of more like a constant danger mode. That makes
Yes.
sense.
No, absolutely, it absolutely does because it's like, as a woman, I will tell you firsthand, I will not be I'm constantly, and I go for walks. Like I love walking. It's one of my favorite things to do. My head is always on a swivel. It will never not be on a swivel, no matter where I am. Even when I'm in my own driveway, my head's on a swivel because that's the world we live in, unfortunately,
Yeah.
where people have been just picked up outside
Yeah.
their house for no reason, just because someone's having a bad day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always the funny thing about like, when, joke when you're saying like, well, were you taking your garbage out? Like, were you trying to do it like deliberately attractively? It's because like, I think the movie Blue Steel at least plays with that because it's like she was stopping a murder, but like that he just becomes in love with her. So it's like guys will pick up on, it's like you be going to the bank and a guy will be like,
Yes.
it'll turn that into something like, sexual, right?
And
Yeah.
there's so many times where like I've had experiences where people are just like interpreting things wrong. I'm like, I'm just holding the door for you, dude. It's nothing more than that. All right. Like, we're not getting married. It's not that serious.
Oh, yeah.
But
Poor
I just
guys.
feel
Poor
some
women, I should
I
say.
don't want to be a male loneliness thing, but like sometimes people are just so lonely that they will take any type of interaction as is this for me?
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be even worse now. I was, I read, it always feels like the world's getting sort of increasingly alienated, but like, tech and finance is a much bigger sector of our economy than it was 20 years ago. There's
Absolutely.
a great chart of like, this is in the UK, but like the sponsors of like the main soccer teams, Premier League teams in like 1992, you have like Adidas, and you have like it's like people making like, I don't know, pastries or shoes or like whatever else. But now they're all financial firms or crypto firms or tech companies, and so it's like the world of Patrick Bateman is like, how isolating and more lonely that is. That seems like it's probably more people are affected by that. It feels like, I think,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
alienation of it.
I definitely do. I definitely think that everything is digitized too, which
Yeah,
is definitely another thing that
she
kind
says as
of
she stands in front of 38
these are
arcades.
real. I don't know what you're talking
Yeah,
about. Uh, no,
yeah.
but it's the we are all connected, with this internet thing, but at the same time, we are still all very far apart from one another.
Yeah.
So
And
technology has all these amazing things, but there are some negatives to them.
I think certainly like the way like the business tech industry and the financial industry uses it, which I think is evidence in both these movies, does lend itself to like, yeah, both the serial killers in these movies, they just do not treat the victims as human at all. Like anyone who's outside of their little circle, like he barely treats, probably the most human he treats someone as his secretary. But even then,
And
he's like,
he's horrible to her too,
he
because the
does, yeah,
first time she walks in, he comments on her appearance
yeah,
and tells her that she should wear heels and she looks better in dresses. And it was so funny because later in the movie, when she comes back in a very similar outfit from the first one, I was waiting for him to make a comment about it, and he never did.
yeah.
And I'm like
That's
so
interesting. I didn't notice that.
surprised because I'm surprised she was brave enough to feel like that she could come back to work wearing the same outfit. Because I know if someone had said that to me, like, well, I either would have quit my job or if
Yeah,
I did, I would have been like dressed. I would have either complied or not complied at all. There's no in between.
yeah, yeah. That's a yeah. That poor. I hope she found a new job
And a
immediately.
better job with a
Yeah,
nicer boss.
not on Wall Street, surely,
Not on Wall
right?
Street, no.
Yeah.
No.
But that's the ease and I mean the no cons. I was be curious about your take on the ending because like that's the ease and no consequences, I guess, of like being a rich white dude. Nothing happens to Bateman. Like he just is kind of like such a brilliant ending because I feel like we don't have. You're a big video game history person, right? Like it seems like there are fewer and fewer eras now, like where because of like everything is flat. It feels like we've been in 2015 since like 2005,
Thank you.
almost of like like it
People
just
try and
there's
tell
no
me
end
we
to
made
it.
it's like we are still making technological advances. That's not what I'm saying, but like ever since we've had like smartphones, that was like our really last biggest leap in technology that
Yeah,
everyone started getting smartphones. And then it's like, yeah, there are some nice things they've added to them and et cetera. They've only improved them, but it's not like when we were going from the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 2 or like the
yeah,
SNES or the NES to the SNES. Like we are kind of, I don't want to say stagnant, but we're a little stagnant right now, for lack of a better term.
yeah. Which again, what a brilliant like sort of predictive thing because it's like yeah, the Bateman would not if he was doing this, he might not get. Like, there's no consequences for rich white people in our like. His thing is that he's just got to live with it, right? There's no consequences for any of it. Time doesn't change.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He's still alienated. It's a horrific ending for him, but
He's still in his own personal hell.
yeah,
So either way, like even if he did or didn't, like whether he actually did commit all of those things, he's still stuck in his own personal hell of his own doing, and he chooses to stay in that hell because he thinks it's more comfortable for him to be this CEO person than to actually be a legitimate human.
yeah. Even yeah, it's like the like even the part at the end. I forgot about it because it's been years. But when he kills all the people in Paul Allen's apartment, and then he drops the chainsaw on the lady. Then he goes back with the COVID
It's a
mask,
cool
which
scene, such a cool
yeah,
scene when he drops that
yeah,
chainsaw because you're literally watching him and he's like, I say as I put my chainsaw out, he literally rails it around and he drops it right onto her and it
yeah.
hits her perfectly.
Very similar, I think, is when he jumps in Dark Knight,
Yes.
down
Oh my
like
God,
the
yeah, actually, when he does the whole like down over the onto
in
the,
the
yeah.
in the parking garage. Yeah,
Yes.
I wonder if that's like a. I've always wondered if that was like a an homage. Um,
You really would be surprised how many things are homages to other things. Like one
yeah,
of
for
my
sure.
favorite movies of all time is Forbidden Planet. Um,
Oh, great movie.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I'm obsessed with Robbie the Robot.
Yeah,
And yeah, so you probably know he is anytime, pretty much anytime you see a robot, it's probably a reference to Robbie the Robot,
really.
almost guaranteed. Yeah, there's references in Futurama. There's references in I can't even think of them. Oh, Fallout.
Oh,
Some
yeah,
of the robots are modeled after Robbie. So like, pretty much anytime you see a robot that looks very similar to Robbie the Robot,
yeah. That's a great movie. I really like that movie.
it is
It's a
my
very
one of my
fun.
favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, I wonder. Do you think so? In Wall Street, do you think they have people like that lady who just kind of clean up after because like he goes in with the to Paul Allen's apartment with the COVID mask, and he's like someone lived here, and she's like you don't need to be asking questions. So I kind of wonder like if there's just like a was it the building owner maybe who's just like we can't handle this bad press. So, like there's so many reasons like they wouldn't want to investigate that, right? I took that like some people say when I was
Yeah,
reading
I
about it, it's
don't
like some people
know.
say it's like fake,
It's so
but
interesting because it's like I feel like it can be interpreted in other ways. It could be like, does Wall Street have this cleanup crew because we don't want to have a bad name of our team, our firm. We don't want that, you know,
right?
because you have to think these people are making thousands amounts of money that we can't even fucking comprehend. That is how
Yeah.
much money that they're making on a daily basis.
Oh yeah.
So they can do things that obviously we never could. So that is a possibility. And the other possibility is he could have been going through this psychotic episode where he did dream all this up and he is crazy. I think that's one of the things I do like about the film is it almost kind of leaves it up to the viewer's interpretation. Yeah, because it is kind of like once the lawyer said, "Oh yeah, I had dinner with Paul Allen," you're like, "Oh well, yeah, dinner with Paul Allen." But then when you do think about it, Patrick also pretended to be somebody else earlier in the film. So why would that not have happened somewhere else? It could have easily happened because the lawyer doesn't even recognize his own client.
Yeah, Paul Allen's a popular guy, right? He wants to be seen as having, it's all about like masking and presentation, right? He wants to be seen. He wants people to know that he had dinner with Paul Allen.
Yeah.
So he's probably just lying about it anyway.
That's the other thing too, is because just like Patrick had lied about saying he had dinner at the really fancy
Dorsia.
place. Yeah, Dorsia. Yeah. He's like, I got the reservation because I'm Patrick Bateman.
Yeah.
When in reality, when they called, they literally laughed in his face twice.
Which he doesn't really totally clock, which I thought is another like sort of autism representation. There's like a couple points in the movie I wrote where he doesn't like clock that they laugh at him. He doesn't clock when he's giving the speech at the first dinner when he's like, I think we need to be anti-nuclear. We need to make sure that we need to return to traditional values. And he's just parroting all these things that he hears on the news that he has no idea what they mean. But then everyone else is just kind of laughing at him, which I don't think he realizes.
Yeah, it's almost like they were, and that's so interesting because like some of the things you were saying, I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of true. Like, yeah, we probably should end in apartheid. That sounds like a really good thing that we should actually end. And they're laughing at him. And, but then at the same time, you could almost hear that he's not serious about ending it. He's just saying the dialogue of the list of things that are wrong with the world. He's just naming them off. He doesn't actually comprehend what's happening. He's just trying to start it's his way of saying, how's the weather?
Yeah. He's trying to fit in. Yeah. And he's
not doing a good
autistically, job. He's going with the headphones in the car, like he's kind of got. I almost wish like he had like the big like sensory prevention headphones or whatever, like the big noise canceling ones.
And the other thing too is he's a big hypocrite too when it comes to his relationship because he's sitting here criticizing his fiance for sleeping with so and so, and he's doing the exact same thing with that other lady who he just like drugged out of her mind and brought her to another restaurant, and she's like asleep on the table. Like
that poor woman.
Yeah.
I did like that. They didn't spare the women in this movie. Like as much as, which I thought was like, I don't want to say it's a weak because like I can't point to a particular movie that they do this, that like they do or they don't do this now. I do feel like movies, they've sort of made, both these movies I think are really good in that they don't spare the women or the men, like in the culture of it. In terms of like just being like honest about them in a way that I think I've seen some movies be like a bit flatter. It's probably just, I'm talking out my ass here, but no too pejorative of it, but like it seems like it's almost like if they're trying to make like they would almost show the women as like, I guess like purely victims or like just like pure victims of like Patrick Bateman or whatever nowadays, as opposed to this movie where it's like they're absolutely victims of him, and like they show but there's so much empathy towards like the sex worker, and there's also a lot of empathy towards the woman who like I think she ends up unaliving herself, I think I have to say in the podcast, but when she's like it's just like if I don't see you, like since I won't see you again before Easter, have a happy Easter. And I think she's about to just not be on the earth anymore. But to your point, it's like they don't spare them, like, which I thought was interesting.
It's interesting too, because like I just realized in the scene that I thought was completely useless, but now I'm like thinking back on it, it's actually not. It's the scene where he's in the dry cleaners and he's trying to get the sheets clean, and he's talking to that one girl, and she's like, oh, I'm going to Les Mis on Saturday, a matinee show. I can't meet up with you. His just blatant disregard for other people. Like he's rude to the people at the dry cleaners, and then he's rude to the person that's supposedly his friend.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like I wrote that down. They had like actually 3. I thought that was a good sort of exploration of like the racial dynamics of it, because they had like, it was like all close together. They
Yeah.
had like the Asian people at the who owned the laundromat who he's just yelling at, telling him he's gonna murder. Then they had they have the I think it's the people at the spa are Asian, that he's going to. Like every minority in this movie is basically a servant or like something, and I think like in a very self-conscious way, like they're a servant or they're like a working person or they're a like a server.
Yeah.
And they particularly work with like they show like the Asian, a couple different Asian people sort of back to back of like the laundromat, which he's abusing, and then at the masseuse like spa place who were taking care of him. And then they cut from that scene immediately to a waiter who's Asian at the party, and then holding in her hands, Reese Witherspoon is holding it, she pointedly calls it a Vietnamese pot-bellied pig, as like these are just like all sort of playthings and everything else, which I thought was good skewering of how these people surely think about minorities, like then and definitely now. I can't even imagine in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know. And of course he kills the black homeless guy, and yeah, I think like literally I think everyone except, I want to say there is maybe like there's a black woman at the club that they go to, that very gay coded club. Like all the clubs are gay coded, which I think plays into it, but I think there are some there, but definitely a big part of working in finance and just being racist.
It's just business.
Yeah, it's just business. You know what I really liked? I was just looking at my notes here. The opening of Americans, like the you think it's blood drops, and I was like, oh, it's blood drops, but it's food, right? What did you think of the food metaphors in this movie?
Oh, I like it. I like
Yeah.
I like any kind of transition like that. I really do. No, like cause like another, not a movie but TV show like Dexter does that with the opening where it's like he's cutting the grapefruit and it kind of is meant to look like he's cutting somebody because he's a serial killer. And it's so funny because I was actually wondering, and I should look this up, if Dexter and American Psycho are like, if Dexter is almost like inspired by that, because there's a lot of Patrick Bateman coded in there too, especially with like Dexter Morgan's necessity or need to like monologue everything and everything has to be perfect kind of a thing. So that's all I could think of when as I was like rethinking and comparing of something like American Psycho. I was like, oh, Dexter kind of reminds me of it a little bit.
I wouldn't be surprised. You know, it was a joke, honestly. Before I started the channel, I used to talk about movies a lot at work and with some of my just like software engineering friends who I work adjacent to. And they all love, like every software engineer I've ever met really loves Dexter. I don't know why. They all watch it. It just seems like it's just a very, like they don't watch other shows. I mean, they watch some other shows, but like they all like, oh, you should watch Dexter. I'm like, I don't really, not that I'm saying it's bad, but I don't know.
I enjoyed it, but like, you know what, like I could definitely.
I don't watch a lot of stuff with serial killers, I don't think.
I do.
Yeah, that's very, not to be.
It's a particular audience. No, it totally is. It's like there's certain
modern women, I would say,
modern
love
women. Well, we got to learn ways to keep ourselves safe.
Yeah, you know, honestly, study. Yeah,
we're just studying to keep ourselves safe. All right, like that's how it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess I do read articles about like, you know, what not to eat if you have like you know, like I don't know, like something medical, right?
Like,
it's like
I was gonna say like
yeah.
You know, 10 ways to keep your cholesterol down. Mine's is 10 ways not to get taken by a serial killer. Okay, so most serial killers don't like tattoos, all right?
There you go. I didn't know that. I didn't have
well, I think it was was it Ed Bundy, I think, who wouldn't pick up anybody with tattoos because he thought they tasted weird.
He went to, so if you're listening to this, the episode I did last episode was we talked about going to, but we both randomly went to University of Puget Sound for a couple of years. I think she graduated there. Molly McLean, shout out Molly. I went there for a couple of years and got kicked out, but also went there a couple of years and left was Ted Bundy, who the school I think like always tries to scrub their Wikipedia page to like make sure he's not on there.
My God.
Yeah. At my other college that also happens, but for a funnier reason and much lighter. For the adult film actor Peter North went to Maryville College and actually started the Maryville College Film Enthusiast Club, which is very funny. But they try and keep him off the Wikipedia because he's like a very, very famous fellow. Yeah, the at the start I thought the you know, just looking at my notes on this, they have, so he immediately the first thing, being told no by a woman. Have you ever had that experience where you tell a guy no, like you can't use your card here or something, and then you can see the anger immediately?
Yes.
What do you think of that?
It's
That's
just
a
an
dangerous
average,
thing to tell a guy no,
it's
right?
just an average Tuesday for me. Unfortunately, I have an Irish temper, so I just kind of give that energy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot we talked about maybe doing a couple Irish movies. We'll have to
Yeah.
come back and do that. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I've got that Irish temper, so that stuff doesn't fly. It's like, no.
yeah,
Guess what my favorite word is? No.
yeah.
I'll start
We'll have
singing
to.
it, but I'm also one that just like stirs the pot.
Yeah. Have you? I can't remember from our conversation. Had you seen The Quiet Man?
Yes, yeah, actually,
Yeah,
yes. It was
yeah,
one of the it was one of those anything with John Wayne in it though.
yeah.
My father was a huge
Mm.
John Wayne film. I'm talking like is it El Dorado, the one that he's
Mm.
like El Dorado was one that he loved a lot. There's like a bunch of like the
The
Western ones,
Searchers,
but yeah.
Rio
All,
Bravo.
yeah,
Yeah.
like those were the ones he was really into. But the one that I loved that was a John Wayne movie was Donovan's Reef.
Mm.
That's
I haven't seen
like,
that.
oh my God, it's so good. I haven't seen it in years, but it's so funny. There's a scene where because it takes place in like a bar,
Mm.
and the Navy shows up, and the guy's like, you can't drink here, but they have things to drink. They got lemonade, they got iced tea, and one of the soldiers is like, iced tea. And they just run past the guy and go and they start getting beer and stuff. It's so funny because they're like,
That
yeah, we're
sounds
not
great.
we're not doing that. It's if you like The Quiet Man, you'll like Donovan's Reef because it's a romantic kind of a story, but it's not
Mm.
because like sometimes when you say romance, people think like The Notebook. It's not like that kind
Mm.
of like romance, but it's a John Wayne romance where
Yeah.
he falls in love with this girl and everything, and I like it. I really
Yeah.
do. I enjoy it.
That's good. Yeah.
And it's
I'll have
gorgeous.
to
'Cause I
watch.
think it takes place in Hawaii, so it's like a very tropical movie too.
I'd love to see it. Yeah. I love all my kind of late. I never watched them really growing up. Except I think I watched The Searchers is probably the first movie I saw in college. Ooh, Lee Marvin too. I love Lee Marvin. Oh, directed by John. Okay, directed by John Ford. So that makes sense. Same
Yeah.
guy did The Quiet Man, and yeah. Cinematography by William Clothier. What did he do? Okay, he did a bunch of John Wayne Ford movies. Yeah, I'll have to watch that. I love. My brother's also late arriving to John Wayne, and become a big fan of him. He's got such a funny screen presence. So you're what is they saying in The Quiet Man? Are you a Colleen? Is that shout out my aunt Colleen? Rest in peace.
I guess
But
so, yeah. It's been
yeah,
a hot minute since I've seen that movie. I probably haven't seen that movie since I was a kid. I'll be
yeah.
honest with you. Um,
Do you ever do any cosplay? You could do an
yes.
absolutely okay. Maureen O'Hara in that movie, you could do such a like. Yeah, I think she's got like the striking red hair in the movie, and yeah, she's like, it is. Yeah, that would be like I don't know. Does your you said your partner like does he do cosplay with you ever?
Sometimes he doesn't.
Maybe you could do John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara. That'd be.
Oh my God, if I could convince him.
I would. Yeah, I would love to see that. That'd be
I
really
don't think
funny.
we've never really done a couple's costume. We've done like same genre. Like I'll do
Mm.
like a DC character and he'll do like a DC character or something, or like I did Avatar. Well, I did a character from Avatar Last Airbender and he did one from The Legend of Korra. So we're like same universe, close enough. Like that's the type of
Okay.
kind of those
Are
are
those
our
good? I
couples
haven't seen those.
I love them. I would at least recommend watching Avatar The Last Airbender. Like that. All three books are amazing. Such good content. Legend of Korra is good too. But it doesn't have the same appeal as Avatar The Last Airbender, but it's still really good.
That's cool. Yeah, I
Definitely
think the
worth the
movie
watch.
the movie was M Night
Don't
Shyamalan. I
bother.
think.
No, we don't talk
Oh,
about the movie.
oh, I
Uh,
like him a lot.
I didn't. I'd like him too, but I just don't like that movie.
Ah, okay.
It's not. It's okay. So like, you have to watch the show, and then I want you to go watch that movie again. And
Okay.
when you watch that movie, you're going to probably say that this is the biggest piece of dog shit that you've ever seen.
Well, now I don't want to read the thing because I like I'll maybe watch the movie first and I'll say that about the book. I probably wouldn't say
I'm
that
just
about the
saying,
book.
because
Yeah.
like the thing is like the way that they did the abilities, and I didn't even finish the movie. That is how much I hate
Mm.
that movie. I
Oh
watched
wow.
about maybe 5-10 minutes of this, and I was like, you know what? Some things
No
aren't
way.
for me, and this thing is not for me. Uh, yeah. So they got it and spent any money in the theater to see. I almost did. I almost went to theaters to see that.
Mm.
and I didn't because I just chose not to.
Is it a show? Was it a show first or
It
a
was a
book?
show, so it was a Nickelodeon
Okay,
show.
gotcha.
Yeah, but the way they do it, like each season's considered a book, so it's like it's just how they name it that way. But it's they have comic books and everything, like the same thing they do with like any kind of really
Yeah,
successful show. They'll do spin-offs of
intellectual
cartoons.
property.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they have that, but just watch the TV show, the cartoon, and you're good.
yeah,
And it's worth it too. It really is. Like it is still even watch it. Like it's a really good show.
yeah. The yeah, I need to. I'm very underwatched on like yeah a lot of cartoons and a lot of animation stuff. So I really should.
And that's all I
Is this the
watch.
in American in American Psycho? Is this the first Get Ready with Me video, like on screen?
Man,
I kind of wonder.
I
He
don't
would
know.
he be a hit on TikTok? You think we're both TikTokers, so
I think so, yeah. I think his
yeah,
like daily routine of like I do 1,000 sit-ups a day.
yeah. I need to know where the scrub is because
Get
like
ready with
I've
me
been
while I do 1,000 sit-ups. Yeah, I can see it. Get ready with me. Get ready with me while I kick a homeless man.
yeah 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 yeah. I need to find out what because I always like I normally have a beard, so I never know what to use on my face to like give me some hydraty skin. So I need to like study his routine. I would watch it for that, if he did it.
Yeah, he uses
The
like a chemical peel, moisturize
yeah
more than I. It's probably really expensive. So let's be real here.
yeah yeah. I'd like to try some of that. It sounds nice. I do think also the way the movie was predicted. So I don't know. You said you had worked in STEM field or worked in an industry, but my experience with like working in tech industry, I had to pause the movie. I was laughing so hard when he immediately gets in the office and just turns on TV because like the amount of like for me probably the biggest thing that I think might actually rip America apart is the degree to which people don't realize that people in tech don't work and
Yes.
finance don't work.
Yeah.
And like I've known people, you the viewer would be shocked at the amount of people that I've known, and I think it actually this is where I think the movie's very astute is like the there are so many people at so many companies that make like shocking amounts of money. They're like 200, 400, 500, $600,000 that I've known or met or whatever that do maybe a couple hours of work a week or they just do in meetings. And I think it has like it drives them crazy. I think that's actually I'd be curious to see a movie that sort of like explores that. Probably Office Space from this time, I think explores that a little bit more.
Prophet Mike Judge.
Yeah.
The
But they
prophet.
yeah. The
He predicted idiocracy. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, I still need to see that.
What?
But I know it's just one of those big blind spots. I need to watch it.
No, I
But yeah,
love him so much.
yeah,
I like all. I can't say I like all his work because it's like I haven't seen every single thing, but I do like a lot of his work. Like I love King of the Hill. I love. He just did a series, Common Side Effects, which is about a
is it
magical
good?
mushroom that
Mm,
it's basically whatever happens to you, it is going to heal you, and he is basically trying to save humanity.
yeah,
But Big Pharma is after him, trying to stop him, and so is the government. So
yeah.
definitely a really interesting concept for a TV show. And it's an animated TV show. It's like a little mini series. I don't know if there's a season two, but there's
Okay.
at least one season and it just finished, so I highly recommend it.
I love King of the Hill and I love Office Space. I did not like Silicon Valley, even though I was working not in Silicon Valley, but like
I think I've seen
in the
Silicon
industry at the
Valley.
time. The HBO series because too many people I knew who were it wasn't mean enough. Like in a way that like this movie is very mean towards people who do that. I think, but yeah, I think probably the
Yeah.
thing that would like rip apart America is if people knew how little work people did for these huge amounts of money.
And it's so funny
Like,
because when he showed
yeah,
up, sat down, turned on the TV, my first thought was, must be fucking nice.
yeah, yeah,
Because it literally must be nice to be able to just walk into work late, sit down and put a TV on, and then just. And then I was also thinking about it too. Half the time when he's actually working, he's not even really working. He's
no,
at and having a lunch discussion. So he's not even paying for that meal. His job is going to comp that meal and they're going to tax it. You never like the whole
yeah,
thing about just his whole lifestyle and the blatant disregard for how lucky and fortunate he has it is so telling in a lot of ways.
I think it makes it hard to have empathy for him for sure.
Yes.
And I would imagine probably because of like how he treats, honestly, women and poor people and like whatever else. He's a very, very hard character to have empathy for. Despite I think the movie, to me at least, tries, at least in certain parts, to at least to empathize, which I thought was fascinating, especially because it's directed by a woman, written by a woman, and I think based on a thing by a gay man. But yeah, it's like people I think in America would go crazy, and I think it has was it deleterious? It has a detrimental effect on people actually doing the work, I think. But also it's another marker of like rich versus poor class, because I will say, as quick, like I say quick as I probably have talked for like a million hours at this point, but like when one of the companies I work for was getting bought by this private equity firm, there was like, we had to go to this conference, this huge conference, can't say it, but it's like massive conference that we went to every year. Normally like we would have like assignments to like take people out to dinner or to do this or do that. And it was like so as this company was like buying it, people were like, some people, like I got kind of nervous because like, oh, they're going to look at the receipts from like people taking out to dinner. So it was like, I'm a big food, like not to the extent that these people, I don't even know if I would call them foodie, because I think it's so like, they just want to, I don't think they were enjoying any of this food. But like me, I was like, I actually like, I love food, and like, I love like, finding good places to eat, whether they're poor or rich. And so, I was like, okay, I'm going to, because the company's getting bought, like, it's me and my coworkers, like, we're going to go out to like this Michelin star restaurant in San Francisco. It's like, we'll charge a little bit of it. And it's like, but I ended up at the end of the dinner, we like, all three of us came from poorer families and poorer backgrounds. So we're like, okay, let's only charge like 125 each or something, and we'll pay for the rest of it. It was like, so we probably paid half and half. And we're like, geez, we were all kind of nervous. Like, oh, I hope they don't find out, or I hope they don't do this. And then we went home, and all the sales guys who had like, most of whom had grown up rich and like were more Patrick Bateman-y and like just in this general thing, they had just gotten home from charging I think it was like a $1,800 dinner, like, and they just were like, oh yeah, no one's gonna like, just the like the internalized like, God, it's good to be a rich man like thing that they had. And they were right. They're totally right.
I had that same issue when I was working for my one job. I needed to take like a licensing thing, and I needed to do this whole thing, and I needed additional tutoring because I had to pass a test. So I paid for a program to just make my life a little easier, and I paid for it out of pocket because I'm like, yeah, whatever. And I had mentioned it to my boss, and they were like, we're paying for that, blah blah blah. Just like the way that they were willing to toss around their corporate card to pay for stuff. And because it's just normal to them, because it's whatever. And to me, it's like that $30, $40 or that $50, that whatever amount of money. I'm like, it's not my money to spend. I'm not comfortable doing that. So it's so interesting. You will see like a power dynamic between people who have always been around money their whole life and people who have never been around money their whole life, and just how they react. Because someone who's grown up in lower class, like myself, not like I was poor, but I was not fantastic. I have a very different view on money, like especially even with my TikTok channel. Games are expensive, and yes, I have a lot, but I go to thrift stores for my stuff. I go to thrift stores and yard sales, and I buy things as cheap as I can get them, because I can't afford it otherwise.
Yeah, same. I always wait for like, the 50% off sales, and like I go to a lot of used DVD. Like if there's a DVD on Amazon, I'll buy it used instead of new, and like stuff like that. So it's like, same thing. Yeah. But I had to like, it always makes me feel I like recorded this whole video on a Criterion order I did. But then I was like, people are going to think like, I just didn't want to like show off, because I ordered like 20 Criterions. It was probably like, I don't know, $100 or $200, but it's like, that was my order for like it was like, I'm going to take advantage of doing this, of like, while they have this. And even the way people look at like $100, like some people look like $100 is a lot of money. I don't care what anyone says. There's a lot that you can do with with $100, but some people look at $100 like it's a $5 bill, and they'll just toss it around, and it's not a big deal. So like sometimes some people are like, oh, this game, it's a special edition, it's going to be only $150. Fuck, not happening. Yeah. I think it has this is where I identified with Bateman. I mean, maybe it's just me projecting onto him, but like the like the amount of money I've seen people who do nothing at work. Like I think about, because I went from being a pizza delivery driver at Papa John's in college to working in the tech industry. And I worked at like Subway and like mom and pop's market. Like my first job was making 5.25 an hour to do like everything at like a when I was 16 or
Oh
something.
my gosh, no. I cried when I made like 7.25 an hour. That was the lowest I've ever made, was 7.25.
Yeah,
And that's not
it
great
was
either.
it was 10 cents above 5.15, which was the minimum. Which was the minimum. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
cool, nice of them. But it was a demanding job where it was the only market and diner within like probably 10-15 miles or something. So it's like it was a gas station, it was like a restaurant, it was a like a fishing place. I had to like go and like get crickets, which as a slightly neurodivergent person, like I had to like stick my arm into this whole thing and like crickets claw on it and then like kind of scrape them into this tube and sell them people. Yeah, nightmare, absolute nightmare. That was all. I eventually just stopped doing it. I was like, I'll do everything else, but I'm not going to do that because
Yeah.
I
I wouldn't have.
yeah.
I would have quit day one if they're like, you gotta stick your hand in there. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh. I
it
had
was
a job
wild.
once tell me, they're like, you have to pull weeds. I was like, I'm not doing that. And I left the next day.
Yeah,
Like, this job's not, I just wrote a letter. I was like, this job's not for me. No, I
yeah,
don't do,
yeah,
not for minimum wage,
yeah. I'm not going to do that. But I think it like to the extent I identified with Bateman, it had like it still made me a little crazy. I talked about it I think on one episode, like going out to Puget Sound from rural East Tennessee, and like everyone out there was rich, and like it just drove me like I felt so alienated, and it just drove me like crazy because like, and then in the tech industry, honestly, it got worse. Just seeing like, oh yeah, it's like we'll just spend $600 taking this person out, and for something that's not going to work, and like they know that nothing's going to happen from this deal, and I know nothing's going to happen from this deal, and it's like 600,000 is like this could be a life-changing amount of money to someone. Like
that is that $6,000 like a whole car to somebody. Like I think
yeah,
about it in that reality too, is like it's a
yeah,
car. It's a physical item. This is a month's worth of this is a year worth of groceries for some
it's a way to get to
people.
work. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like difference between a homeless and not, because like there was a whole movie
Yes.
about that called Bicycle Thieves, right? It's like
Yes.
guy loses his bicycle and he can't work. Yeah,
It's crazy. Like that's the other thing people seem to forget too, is that it is expensive to work. Like, but that doesn't make sense. You're working, yes, but you have to pay for the car. The car has car insurance. The car needs gas. The car needs maintenance. Like, this
yeah.
is money that a lot of people may not have.
You might need to take a client out for work.
Yeah.
Like I was fortunate because when I was driving my, I love the car, but my shitty Prius, I managed to get it cleaned for like one time when I had to drive this private equity guy back to the airport, and I was like, thank God it was on the, because like normally it was just like just nasty, just because I'm just not a, now I
get
treat
it.
my cars better, but this is a college car coming out of college, whatever. But like it was just like I think that's also like the ending of the movie. I think particularly horrified me when he doesn't have consequences, which I forgot about, and when the lady does it, because it's like that's also my experience of like of working in tech is like this has to have consequences. Like this lifestyle, there's like these people. This can't just be how it is. Like this just cannot be how the world is of like how the tech industry is of like $1,000-$1,500 dinners every night, people charging it to MasterCard, people getting drunk on company time. It's like when I was 16, I had to fill up, like cleaning a flat top grill, like, fill up this long metal thing, almost burn the shit out of my arm. I still have burn marks from it of like this hot grease poured into a bucket. And then because we couldn't, we just threw it into the field beyond. So like there's this big patches of dead grass where I was throwing all this like of this grease, just like it would just die for a couple
Not
weeks and grow back.
environmentally friendly.
Very not. No, yeah, we didn't. And so I was like, and at the end of the week I would work 20 hours and I would get like, and they paid me under the table, so I would get like $90 or something. And I was like, this can't. And then but then you like go, you see that in the tech thing, it's like they're spending like $600 a dinner, $1,000 a dinner, $1,500 on a flight. Oh, I got to do business class instead of like normal class. It's like this can't be how it is. There has to be consequences from this, but there's not, right?
Yeah. And I think that's part of the reason like why it's like frustrating, and then there's like a little bit of like a dissatisfaction with the ending of the movie, because it's like you want it's like Blue Steel, you get the satisfaction, she gets the guy, like yeah, it's not a great like we don't see a huge change for Jamie Lee Curtis's character, but at least she gets the guy, like at least the bad guy's taken care of. This one you're like, all right, so did he do it, did he not, is he crazy, what's going on? Oh, he's just walking out there, oh, it's a regular Tuesday for him.
Yeah. Does it even matter, right?
Yeah.
Because even if he did it or doesn't do it, that's how all these guys think about us, which is like,
Yeah.
yeah. My review of Sallow that I watched, like to bring it like that, it made me like the most furious I've ever been about like rich people and capitalism, because it's like, but honestly, it's a life-changing movie. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, but like, it's like, oh yeah, that's how they think about this. If they could make me eat, if my bosses, not my current bosses, God bless you, but if bosses I've had in the past or the 1% could make us eat shit, they probably, like, literally, they probably would.
So have you ever seen Snowpiercer?
No, I need to. Bong Joon-ho, right?
I won't. I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's generally like a similar concept of just like the front of the train is really nice, the back of the train is really crappy, and it's a beautiful representation of just capitalism.
Yeah.
Like
And he did Parasite, right? Which is another.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just such a really good representation of just like and like I watched it because I was like, oh yes, this is a stupid train movie. Let's watch this. But it was so much
Yeah, I love
more
a
than
train
that.
movie.
Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
love a train movie. I like
As neurodivergent people, like we're gonna love
like
a train
trains,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can give me a good train movie. But
Yeah.
Snakes on a Plane, hell yeah, that too. But
Yeah.
no, but
Absolutely.
all jokes aside, it's got Chris Evans in it, and then it's got I see her face, but I cannot remember it. And it's just a decent movie. It really is, and it's one of those where the like
Yeah.
what you find out like how these people are being treated, and the more you get into the actual lore as to why they're on this train, and the brainwashing, the propaganda, all of that stuff, where you have the upper class who doesn't see anything wrong with treating the back of the train like crap because it's the back of the train. Screw the back of the train. We're in the
Yeah.
front of the train. And it's that desensitization to the classism, the capitalistic way. It's told in a
Yeah.
really and it's a train.
Yeah. Gotta love a train. I love a train.
I gotta
have a
write home about the train.
Yeah. Now I'm excited. I really want to see Snowpiercer. My
Yeah,
brother
it's
didn't like
good.
it, but he doesn't like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, honestly, the first time I saw it, I just kind of took it as what it was. I was like, all right, yay, he did this stuff. But then I like watched it again recently after watching somebody do like a little bit of more of an analysis on it. And I gained so much more of an appreciation and understanding and perspective for that movie. I started looking at it from an entirely different lens, and it became more than just a Chris Evans train movie. It was the Chris Evans train movie about liberation. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Man, these were just really good movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking. Yeah, watching porn, very Kanye coded. I'm looking through some of my notes, like and I, to the point about sparing the women, I wrote that the Harron, she doesn't spare the woman when, like, I think he's talking to, I can't remember if it's Reese Witherspoon or the lady on his mistress, I guess, or like the other guy's girlfriend.
yeah,
His
that
girlfriend.
girl, yeah.
I think Amber's like, oh, we can go to this restaurant. He's like, I don't really want to go out. We can go to Dorsia. Ooh, and then Dorsia. Like, she's like,
Yep.
she also wants to be sort of seen in the same.
It's
Yeah.
interesting because that's how it is for all of them. It's the reason, why we have jokes like Republican makeup trend or Democratic makeup trend is because people want to
Oh
do
my
things
God.
to look like one another.
Yeah.
Because looking like your counterpart is almost your way of fitting in.
These are some of the most Republican-looking group of people
I was thinking that too.
ever. Yeah.
And I didn't want to say it because it's like, I don't like making like those kind of like statements like that because it's like there's so much more to it than that. But I'm just like,
Yeah. But yeah, that was
the
just one
shoe
of my.
fits.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's to the point of like I think we at the way back, like we're saying something about like the reputation of this movie, and it's like Wolf of Wall Street or like Goodfellas, of like people in that line of like people misinterpreting it to be
Another
like,
fantastic movie is Goodfellas.
yeah, absolutely. I think all these movies like kind of shit. It's like they're not like, they're just sort of portraying these people accurately. But if you look at these people accurately, it's like you realize just how fucking crazy they are.
Yes.
Like Goodfellas, Wolf of Wall Street, and this. It's like these are not heroes, despite But I do think it shows the allure of the light. Like would be nice to have the nice business cards. It's nice to have the scrubs. It's nice to have the texture stuff.
Yeah.
It's not nice to kill people and be alienated, but
I was gonna say, if I had all that money, I wouldn't be killing people.
Yeah. that's also too, I think it makes it hard for me to empathize. I don't know how much I can get into this, but Lord knows I've met some people working in the tech industry where it's like, what are you doing? Like why are you doing this? Where like they have millions of dollars, but they're still doing it. And it's like, if I had millions, I would just be reading all day and watching movies all day and hanging out with friends. I'd be like,
Yeah,
the
it's
good that I
this
would do. Yeah,
almost completely different personality types. Like it's
it
this
is.
almost like they have just completely I refer to it as the sold their soul to the devil because it's just
Yeah,
like that empathy, that desire to be kind to other humans just doesn't really exist within them because they just care about they think the story's about them. You know, the centralism, the story, the plot's about me. You know, how can I make this about me? And I
yeah,
think that's part of the problem. You know,
yeah. Which, speaking of that, they point out. I wrote down a note. Is that Donald Trump's car? They say, like
and they
it's
make Ivanka Trump. They
yeah,
mention
and they say,
Trump a
is that
lot in
Ivana
this
Trump?
movie. Yeah.
The guy's eyes lights up, which shows the public perception. That was always me. Like growing up, was like, I remember I was like one of the biggest Trump doubters in like 2015. I was like 2016 because I had like seen this and just like growing up. Generally, I was like, this guy's a joke. Like he's like a
I thought it
he's
was a
just like
joke too. I still
yeah
think it's a joke. I'm like, okay, guys, you guys can stop memeing around now, any
yeah
moment. Like I'm waiting for like the balloon strands to come from the sky. It's like it's a
yeah
joke. Dun, dun, dun,
yeah.
dun,
We
dun.
got you.
Yeah, like because this is just how.
Yeah
You know, I look at some of these things, even just like this, like he was the apprentice. You
yeah
fired. Like I used to joke around doing that all the time. I can't do that anymore. You fired.
yeah.
Like it's not funny
I used to like
anymore.
yeah. He had all those great tweets about like Diet Coke and stuff about like
Right.
I'll still drink that garbage. Can't do them. We lost that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought they like, but you can't parody them. I mean, that's like, I think that's like one of the. Be curious your thoughts on that because like I know my friend shout out Nat, also fuck you Nat, a recurring joke. My friend Nat, just like
I get it. It's
uh,
fine.
yeah, evil Nat. She had pointed out, I think to me one time that the producers was the only, I think it's the only show or the only movie or something like one of the very few movies that like Nazis actually hate because like it's the only one that just portrays them totally goofily and like
Yes.
totally like like just as like just doofuses. So be curious, like, do you think artists have a responsibility at least to consider that, or like do you think this movie has had a net positive or net negative effect on the world?
I,
I guess
you
from
know,
that.
it's kind of it's hard to say because like there's art is subjective. It's
Yeah.
very subjective to every individual. Like for me, I think Andy Warhol sucks. I know someone is typing in the comments, Harley, you're the worst person alive. How could you hate Andy Warhol? Um, the dude pissed on a canvas, okay? Like that's not very impressive. Um, I'm not even kidding. He oxidized paint by pissing on a canvas.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that things like this where I'm like, do we really need to do we really need a piss canvas? No, we don't. But then somebody out there is going to look at me and say, listen, Andy Warhol is one of the greatest artists of all time. He
Yeah.
did pop art, blah blah blah, the whole spiel. I get
Not
it,
to
because
interrupt me, but do you like Piss Jesus at least? I don't know if you know that piece of art. That's
why does that
I don't
sound
know.
familiar?
It's just like well now I can see for
Now
the
I'm
audio
gonna
listener. She's
know
immediately
this.
googling Piss Jesus. I think it's just a little figurine of Jesus. Someone put in like a mason jar of piss or
Oh my
something.
God, yes, I forgot about. Yes, actually,
Yeah.
I learned about this in college. Piss Jesus. Yes,
Yeah.
oh my God, I totally you just brought back this fucking memory I completely forgot about
It's
and
a little more
wanted to
artistic, I
forget.
think. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, no, I didn't want to
Actually,
forget this. I wanted to remember this. I've actually I totally forgot about this. Yeah, it's from an American artist and photographer. Oh my gosh.
yeah, it's a little bit. I think it's. I haven't seen the Andy Warhol stuff, and like I'm not that big of a fan of it. Like I don't honestly don't know enough about him. Like I know like the pop art or whatever, but
Yeah.
like yeah, the jar of piss with the Jesus figure, I've always kind of like that one at least like. But you were saying like Andy Warhol and like artist responsibility, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's I feel like it's if we're gonna come after, there's so many things with art. It's really hard. It's it's not like one good answer because it's like if we're gonna
Hmm.
come after movies, then we got to start coming after games. If we come after games, we got to start coming after
Yeah.
sculptures, paintings, things that have been around for. These things are older than me. You know what I mean? Like they've been around for centuries, and now we're gonna start having a problem with them. You know, like
Do you consider that when like deciding like what? Because we did talk earlier about like we want our artists to be like good people. Like we're not gonna
yes,
not get into like the Cosby Show now. Probably either of us if we don't have a affection for it. But yeah, I guess like that is like the personal I guess lives behind it. But like, do you find that a lot in games? I mean, we don't need to delve into like
I find
into
I run
Gamergate or whatever, right?
I
But
run into a lot of like, well, kind of going into Gamergate, we run into the lot of the, which now leads into kind of how things are today is the everything's too woke. That
mm,
bullshit of a
yeah,
thing, which I'm just gonna call it as it is, honestly, because like if something having a black character in there really bothers you that much, what is just go
yeah,
outside. Just go
yeah,
outside, touch grass. Like I don't
yeah.
know how to. I just I'm tired of explaining it to people. Like
Examine yourself. Go to therapy.
yes, go to therapy. Exactly, go to therapy.
Yeah,
Like honestly, therapy was the best thing that ever happened to me. Like seriously, do it.
same. Yes.
Like, but it's the you're people think that like being woke and including people is such like a horrible thing. It's like you seem to forget that like being woke includes the person in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Like it includes the person who's missing an arm or missing a finger. Like this is including the person who might just
Neurodivergent people.
yes, that was my next point was the neurodivergent
Yeah.
people, the people who you may need to repeat things one or two times to, not because they're stupid, but because they have a cognitive issue where they have a processing delay. It does not mean that they're
Yeah.
stupid though. It means that their brain literally cannot process the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Yeah. We have a
Like
senator, John Fetterman. I mean, who I dislike for many reasons, but he had a stroke. I think last year. Needs to use like a captioning service for it. They installed it in like all things at Congress now, I believe, so that he can.
and I think that's a wonderful thing,
Yeah.
whether you, and again, however you feel about that, like wheelchair ramps need to be places.
Yeah.
Having doors that open properly with buttons that actually work to help people who are handicapped to get in are essential. I don't care. Put stupid screen caption at the bottom of everything. I don't care. If it makes somebody's life slightly easier,
Yeah. That's
fuck it.
important.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree.
It's
I
we
think
lost
the
this humanity part though, you know? We really
yeah
just lost this there's this disconnect of again this wanting to make themselves the central part of the story, you know? Like this
yeah
isn't about you. Step to the side.
yeah, and I think like yeah, I got a couple comments about like it's like the when I did my video because I've been doing a little bit more movie history stuff lately about Ben-Hur was one where I that was like very specifically written gay to be entertaining because it was just like it was a 3 hour movie. They needed something deeper, but then like you got a couple comments of like, oh, the author's put in there. He didn't need to write his personal life into the movie. It's like, well, does that
Yeah.
mean a straight person is like it's like it falls apart if you just like just ask the next question. Like, does that mean every time there's a straight coded character, they're putting their personal life in it? Like, why is it only gay people? Right?
Right. It's just like
Yeah.
it's the best way I could describe that is like I support animal rights doesn't mean I want to fuck a horse. You know, like
yeah. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
it,
great analogy. Yeah.
like that it's as simple as that. We don't need to go any deeper than that. Like these people exist. They've existed forever. We have literal ancient antiquity showing depictions of gay couples and transgender people. So I
Yeah.
don't know why the fuck you're coming out of here trying to pretend that they don't exist. They have been around forever.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And you're more, because honestly, you're more, your life is rich. This is actually the selfish argument I made. I think your life is richer for having more diverse people making art and making movies and making
I
things
agree.
like anyway, because like these are two of the very best explorations of masculinity done in the last 30 years by women, right? They're not like one of them is more self-consciously about like the female experience, but like
Right.
they're both so much about, they both have such important things to say about men, right?
And they're also like just addressing that toxic masculinity that women constantly like, especially with like Blue Steel, they're constantly dealing with the toxic masculinity of like she is a female NYPD officer. She's scrawny as shit, which is good. That's good for her character because it definitely plays into the fact that she can't take care of herself and she very much can. At
Yeah.
least we see, it took her some time, but she figured it out eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also like it's not like they're not neither of these are like purely message movies, I think, because like one of them is very sensitive to Patrick Bateman, like more sensitive than probably it could have been
Yeah.
in terms of like actually examining like why he feels so alienated and showing that like he's almost like the scene where he doesn't murder his secretary. It's just he's like he's helped me. Like you feel bad like on
It's
some
almost like
level.
a part of compassion too that comes through in that scene because like if you think about it too, like she's the only one that's like really kind of human towards him ever. She shows interest in wanting to actually go to dinner with him. She actually
Mhm.
shows interest even though he's being a colossal dick to her about the clothes thing. And then even at the end where like the whole thing happens with the phone, the going off, hearing the thing, he could have just been like, fuck it, I'm gonna kill her anyway, but he realized, you know what? I'm gonna tell her to leave.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's like he doesn't necessarily want to do this,
Yeah.
which I thought was a fascinating way to do. And she's the only one who sees him. She's the only one who knows what he is by the end of the movie. Even I forgot Willem Dafoe's character just kind of disappears. He's like, oh, I guess it was a dinner. Like even him, it's like a red herring.
What is so insane to me is how bad of a detective Willem Dafoe is too. Um, because it's like, dude, he just said he doesn't know the alibi.
Mm,
Like that would be like first, like, but then that also gives you the whole white male privilege thing. Like,
yeah,
oh yeah, he definitely could forget where he was on Thursday night. But meanwhile, if I forgot where I was on Thursday night, I'd be the back in the squad car already booked, you know?
yeah. Defoe's character and the lady, what strikes me as is like none of these people necessarily want to look too deep into Bateman because like if you're a working class cop or if you're like a someone who's like a secretary or realtor, it's like you don't want to go up against a rich white guy. Like that is not something that you're going to win, right?
Blue Steel's a great example of that too, because like you're thinking
Yeah.
about like even when
Yeah, so,
he
yeah, I
first got
think
caught,
yeah.
the first thing they did were like, he's from Wall Street. Like he's this upper class guy. So we're just gonna dismiss the fact that he had a fucking gun just
Yeah.
because he was on Wall Street?
Yeah.
Must be fucking nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally forgot about that, but yeah, absolutely. They like and he has the lawyer, he's immediately it's like, oh, the mayor's going to be up my ass, and
Yeah, it's a
all this
class
shit.
thing. It turns into this class, how much money you have, it will just pay you to get out of any trouble, whether it's
Yeah.
34 felonies.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. 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 Absolutely. You can just run for office, I guess, and
You
it
can
doesn't
run
matter
for
what you
office,
do.
and it's just we're not
Yeah.
gonna. Deep breaths, deep breaths.
Yeah. Yeah, it turns out, yeah, you can just do. I didn't know about that. I wish I had known about that. I would have ran for office a lot more to, some of my
Right,
past
like
crimes, I
I
guess.
would have committed, like I would have had a whole campaign.
Well, although we say that, but even again, like about how insane money makes people or like how like the insanity of like sort of like at least for me of like well I think it makes people insane themselves, but also like being exposed to it drove me personally insane. I should have gotten a PPP like a COVID loan. I did not get a COVID loan, but like every rich person, like a lot of rich people and like every company I knew got all the bullshit COVID loans that they just knew because they're rich they were going to be forgiven. It's like I think there was some memo going out because like there were companies that I knew of at that time where it's just like I knew the companies and like I had colleagues that worked at them or whatever. It's like your guys are doing well. Like they're not like it's like yeah, COVID's going to be an issue or like potentially a thing, but like you guys are going to be fine. It's like your business is going to be impacted, but they were still getting the COVID loans because they all knew it's like this is just going to be a giveaway money to rich people. It's like they're never going to ask for these loans back.
Nope.
But then like poor people did not know to do that. It's like oh shit, if I take this loan and what if they catch me that I didn't actually do this thing, but then like
Same
half
thing
members
goes
of
for,
Congress or something got
driving
it, right?
tickets though, like speeding tickets and stuff like that.
Oh
Like
yeah,
especially because I worked in insurance, this is how I know is like that you'll see people with like rich cars, they'll drive any fucking way they want because they could just pay the ticket. It's not a big deal. Their insurance rate goes up, doesn't matter. They got the money to pay for it. It's not a big deal. And people like us who are like they get one speeding ticket and their rate goes up, they're screwed for the next 5 years.
yeah.
Because it's
Jeez.
just the way that money is viewed in this country as a whole is just disgusting. It's
Gross.
yeah.
Very gross. Very, very gross. Which
It's
this movie gets out so well.
Yeah, it really does. It really does show the distribution of wealth and that. The lack of
Yeah.
compassion too. They nail that to a T. The
Yeah.
rich snootiness, the self-centeredness, all of that.
Emptiness. Yeah.
Yes, the empty, especially the emptiness, because you know you could have all the money in the world and it's not gonna make you. It's not gonna make you cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Although, yeah, I wasn't going to say, although I also, speaking, because I said something about Texas Chainsaw, I believe he's watching that while he's working out, I want to say. I think that's the movie that's on in
Yes,
the
there
background.
is a point where
Yeah.
he's watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's so funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, because at one point I was like, oh, he's watching more adult films, and then it showed it again. I was like, wait a minute, that's Texas
Yeah.
Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. And yeah, to the even more racism stuff I wrote down, he said that Huey Lewis sounds too black sounding to him. Like, I think, like when he's talking to Willem Dafoe, which is like the funniest thing ever to say about Huey Lewis's news. I cannot think of like a more whiter coded
I would say
artist
that's
than
like
Huey Lewis.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think
Like
of
when he's,
pop 80s, I think of that like that that type of sound, that happy sound or whatever.
yuppie sound. Yeah. It's like
Yes,
yuppie
yuppie.
dad sound.
Yes.
Yeah. Although interesting, the other thing about the speaking of the music, the one to the point about like kind of autism and closeted stuff, he when he puts on the Whitney Houston, he puts on, I think, Phil Collins, like very yuppie dad coded rock, and he puts on Huey Lewis, but then he puts on Whitney Houston. I think both the women sort of like laugh at him or just be like, "You listen to Whitney Houston?" Or like
Yeah.
not the I think the rich lady does, but I think he totally doesn't get what she's like sort of implying there either.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. When it's
Yeah.
like his friend later and she brings back the yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like when he hangs out with the two the workers before too, when he's talking about I forgot the one that he talks about, but he's like so fixated on just like the music in general and explaining the background of it too. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
dude, you sound like me when I'm talking about like when I talk about a video game or something like.
Yeah. That was a bit hard to watch a little bit. Like, yeah.
But I definitely could see like even when he's talking to Willem Dafoe about Huey Lewis when he's just like, yeah, I hate it. It's like, bitch, no, you don't.
Yeah.
I know you don't.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
We know you don't.
But it's to throw him off the trail, and he does a horrible job too. He really does a horrible job of throwing him off the trail, but somehow it worked.
Yeah, both like that's you kind of have to suspend disbelief. Probably even more so in Blue Steel because like the first thing I think, I mean, to the point about, I think we talked about like reality versus truth, like absolute, like it's true. It's 100% truth that women just do not get believed about like, sexual assault or just crimes in general and, just things in general, like gaslit, whatever. But it is like you have to suspend the immediate disbelief because the very first thing I know that cops do and, police do when there's like a killer is like, oh, who are you dating? Like,
Yes.
if someone, but they just don't, like he finds out that she's been, Clancy Brown in Blue Steel finds out that she's been lying to him. Excuse me, but he doesn't say anything about, like, he's like, okay, well, probably he's a Wall Street guy, right? Like, surely he can't be
Yeah.
he can't
The
be the
thing
killer.
is, he did the exact same thing that the police department did. He blew him off. He just went, well, he's Wall Street, so he makes a lot of money. Why would he risk his reputation to do that? And it's too much of why would he risk his reputation to do that. That is the
Yeah.
power move that they use to do the thing that you said that they're not going to do.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. Yeah, another line's like, I've assessed the situation and I'm leaving. Just like his sort of rational language as he's breaking up with Reese Witherspoon, I thought was a nice touch. But even then, he can't even break up with her. She's like, it wouldn't make sense for us to break up, or she gives some like great, very
Yeah, and
funny
he just
line.
goes, you can keep the friends. Like, as if, like, as if a friendship has, or as if a relationship has, the only reason you guys are together is because you guys have the same friends. Like, that's just asinine
Yeah.
to me. But then it's just like, I just
Very
like his
alienating,
exits.
though.
I do wish we still had the excuse to return videotapes, because that would be mine. I'm not gonna lie. But I
Yeah.
gotta return some videotapes. Like,
I might start saying that anyway.
maybe I'll
To see
just,
if
like,
people get the
I'll
reference.
yeah, I'll just have to return some videotapes.
It's a hard watch, honestly. Like, I'm really glad I watched it again, and I think it's like
Yeah,
tremendous, but
I was really excited to watch it again. Even if it was for the silliest reasons, whatever. I just like it's one of those when I found out this movie was first of all, when I find out anything is like worked on by a woman, I'm just like, hell yeah, girl power, because we're not represented enough. All right, like I could literally
Yeah.
show you the statistics on how we're not represented enough. So like
Do a whole
any
TV show or a whole YouTube show about it.
exactly. So
Yeah.
like I have the statistics to show that we are totally forgotten, even though people like to say we're everywhere. We are, and we do
Yeah.
have the right to be here. So,
Yeah.
whether you believe it or not.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're all better for it if you are,
Absolutely.
which I think is the, not to be making only a selfish argument, but yeah, I mean, this is such a gift of a movie in terms of exploring masculinity that it just drives me crazy when men go, they don't need to quit with all this woke shit. Cause like,
And I think
first
a
of all,
lot of
this
it
is
too.
more woke than like anything in the last
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
it's a lot about like not really comprehending the sort. It's like watching, like I said, The Boys. Like it's just watching The Boys and going,
Yeah.
it's a superhero show. Oh, honey, no, it's not. Like, yes, there's superheroes, there's mutant people, like there's people with superpowers, but that's not what the show is about. Like that,
Right.
like it's the watching Predator and thinking that, oh,
Yeah.
it's like it's
Yeah.
same thing with Alien, like watching Alien and learning that it's
Yes.
also a women empowerment movie, whether you believe it or not. Like it is to put you in the perspective of what it's like to be a woman in a scenario where she may be SA'd. That is what it
Yeah.
is. You are meant to be powerless. It is meant to take over your body. It is meant to invade your body, just like what happens to women on a daily basis. But y'all don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. 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 And yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that could be like a companion because that was, obviously I think famously made by Ridley Scott
Yes.
as a dude. So I mean, it goes both ways. I think one of the Three Women by Robert Altman is one of my favorite movies ever, just about all women. It's a classic movie.
And it's so funny
Yeah.
because it's not just like me saying this where I'm like watching it and I'm like, oh, this is how I feel. No. This is literally what the people of the movie have said that it's about. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
this isn't me just saying, oh, I interpret it this way. This is quite literally what, the alien story, the xenomorph, was meant to tell. Same thing with Predator. It was meant to be like your video. That actually taught me
Yeah.
so much. I knew a lot about Predator, but I learned even more from your video. But about
Yeah.
like the hyper masculinity, and I realized I was like, yeah, they do actually act kind of gay a lot in that movie.
Oh God. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Gay and feminine.
yeah. But then they're like, but the thing is, they highlight so much of we've got big muscles and I'm gonna shoot everything inside, but not hit anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to we're back and we're going to look at some fits and shots. I might call this section now fits and shots because whenever I end up clipping this stuff, I just end up clipping cool things that I like, starting with Lionsgate logo. Love this. Miss these old logos. As we get into it, feel free to say stop anytime as we get into these credits, which you think is blood, but is in fact some type of cranberry reduction, probably. And the knife. This food all looks so plastic. It's kind of bad-looking food photography, which I like.
I was thinking the whole time as I'm watching this whole sequence, it's like, yeah, sure, that looks nice and it's probably really expensive, but like that is not enough sauce for me for my chicken.
Yeah, and it looks kind of dry, honestly.
Yeah, like it doesn't like I can tell you that right now. I make better stuff at home.
Yeah, like the stuff doesn't look. I mean, not that you have to do this, but like it doesn't necessarily look cooked, and like the chicken kind of looks dry, and then it looks like it's almost on like just sort of like unseasoned carrots, I guess, on this. And yeah, very much like the appearance of it rather than the sumptuous of it. Except this like whatever this is looked good. I think it was like a strawberry dessert. Then we start getting these outfits. You say, Republican makeup. These are Republican suits and Republican hairstyles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all like the same outfit, the same hair, the same amount of like oil and grease used to keep that slick back look.
Like the business cards, right? I mean,
yes.
it's Then I think this was like the only, I mean, even still, she was like sort of not waiting on them, but this was like, one of all the minority characters I think are like sort of serving them or in worker roles.
Yeah.
Which I think is very, very deliberately done. Then they go into this club and this lady rejects him and he threatens he's going to kill her, right? Immediately. So.
Right. That was the other thing too, is he's like, I'm going to fucking kill you. I'm like, wow, dude, like you're not worried about anybody fucking hearing you? Like,
right? He's a rich Wall Street guy, you know. It's
Yeah.
nice. You know, I have a probably in the very upper end. I mean, I think the odds of being born in like as an American, just even as like a white dude in America, are like 1 out of 267. So probably from the starting line in terms of privilege, that's like the number one place to start with is American white dude.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't grow up with a lot of money, so it's not like I got all of it. But like on the privilege, like if you had to add up your RPG builder or whatever, right? I had my perks. Like my perks, I guess would be like
Right.
+2 to cops trusting me, right? Is for sure as a
Right.
result of being white.
I was gonna say I would get the +2 for persuasion. Just play the dumb card. Oh, you're just a dumb woman. You're fine.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I
Yeah.
was doing, officer.
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay, honey. Go home.
Right. Yeah.
Which is
So
terrible.
you
I
got
wish
his
I didn't have that privilege. Okay. Just
right,
trust
but
that.
it is it is what it is.
It is. It's. I'm being
Yeah.
honest. Like,
Yeah.
it's what it is. And then there's the lily miserable person.
I try and use it for good. It was actually like it was nice. We know when I
Like,
thought about starting a service. Let me know if you, not you personally, but viewers out there, if I move up at some point, I'll probably move up to Chicago. I think I'm still probably thinking of moving up there. If when I move up to Chicago, if you want, I'm not going to do sex work, but that's a great. Someone clip that. But as I have Patrick as I, as I have Patrick Bateman's just
This is.
like in his undies out here.
Yeah.
However,
And he's
yeah,
naked so much of this movie, man. I see so much of this man's ass that I did not want to see.
yeah, he looks great in it though. I
I
gotta
mean,
say.
yeah.
He's- yeah.
Every time I see it, I'm like, that man is chiseled.
Yeah, my gay housemate didn't want to watch this again, which I think he fucked up because like he had it in his head that it's like he's seen obviously the memes on social media and like
Yeah.
people are like, oh, it's like they sort of meme on it. But I told him I was like, we should watch this again soon because like it's really really good because he's the one I watched a ton of movies with. But he was like, how about you just let me watch the first 5 minutes of by myself and then you can watch the rest of it. And I was like, oh, that's because he was thinking about this the sit-ups and everything.
Yeah, that's all you care about.
Yeah. But I was so I'm not going to be a sex worker, but I thought about maybe a service. I will accompany you as like I will use my maybe like privilege as a service. This is my business idea for Chicago. I will lend I look like, especially when I have my cowboy hat on or if I have my my baseball hat, I'll wear like a Chicago Cubs jacket or like a Chicago Bears jacket. I'll dress in like the most 36-year-old property owning dad like mode that you can imagine, and I'll just go with you wherever you want to go so you don't get harassed by cops or like other people. If you want to like go to like
Right.
shopping, privilege for hire, I think is like
Right,
what
yeah, but can I do that? I'd be cool with that. You need me to accompany you to the DMV? No problem. Like,
yeah,
I'll
Yeah.
sit in the DMV with you.
yeah. If you need me to like to go to the bank so that like they treat you or like honestly
Yeah.
for like women or minorities, like you guys get believed less at hospitals for pain. It's like I'll
Yeah,
go to the hospital. You'd be like, no,
here's-
she's actually feeling bad.
Here's the crazy thing. I didn't, just not to get too, like, whatever, but they didn't start testing female menstrual products with blood until 2023.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and also
What'd they test it with?
there's, I have no idea. That I don't know.
That's
but
crazy.
yeah, I found that out. I was like, what? And then also, there's going to be like a new birth control for men coming out, and you guys are going to get a local anesthetic. We don't get anesthetics when we have like copper IEDs put in.
Jeez.
They just shove that in there. Same with the pap smears. They don't do, and they're like, when you see what a pap smear is, they're literally cutting a piece of tissue away from you. So it's like,
Jeez.
why is there no anesthetic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't help you with the I can't
I come
do
with
the pap
stats.
smear. Yeah. Yeah. No, I was gonna say no. I was like, I can't. Yeah, I was just thinking of my business. I can't do the pap smear for
You
you.
can't
but
do
I'll
the
go
pap
with
smear
you.
for me, yeah. But
Yeah,
I'll hold
you
your
like
hand.
Yeah, if you need like a fake boyfriend or something, I'll
Yeah.
probably I'll take payment in DVDs, physical media. Yeah.
All right.
And then he's masking and he
Yeah,
takes
he's
it off.
doing the
and-
chemical peels and everything, and it's like,
Yeah. Great looking skin though, I gotta say.
the thing is, if I remember correctly, I think he actually did like again, he's a method actor, so like to find out that he was actually doing this exact routine and 1,000 sit-ups a day, would I be surprised? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
This is Christian Bale.
Right. Then we got, more autism code. He's walking in with the headphones to the office.
And then
which
I
not
feel
the
like
normal. Yeah.
it's also a way of not talking to people.
Yeah.
It's like my headphones are on. I don't want to be bothered.
Yeah. Also very woman code. I mean, that's like most women I know, like riding the subway in New York, would wear headphones, right? Just as that additional extra, don't talk to me, right? I
Yeah,
can't hear you.
that's exactly. I can tell you as someone who has been on public transportation, that is why I have my headphones on.
Yeah.
Or even when I'm walking, sometimes I actually made the mistake the other day of not bringing my headphones, and I got stopped by like some evangelical group or whatever, and I looked at them, I was like, "Listen, honey, don't. I'm the last person you want to talk to about this stuff. Like, let me keep walking."
Even the way you phrase that, it's like I made the mistake.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you just like, it's like, oh, I forget, like that you have.
And the thing was,
It's
I had
crazy.
meant to take my headphones. I charged them. I knew exactly where they were, and I didn't realize until I saw them at the end of the corner of the street, and I thought, "Oh shit, I forgot my headphones," which again
Yeah.
was my mistake. It's and it's not even really my mistake. I shouldn't have to be worried about going going for a walk and be harassed by a group, you know,
Yeah.
because they follow you. I've had them follow me and try to talk to me,
Yeah.
like, join my church. I'm like,
Yeah.
and that makes me want to do the opposite.
My buddy, I should shout out my buddy again, who I won't name the exact guy, but he has whatever the opposite privilege of that is, where like he just looks, he's like a kind of a more slovenly, like hateful guy. Love him to death. One of my favorite people. But like he's had like there's this. He always tells it. He just laugh. He's like he loves it because like he's had Jehovah's Witnesses show up to his door one time, and he just answered the door in like a tank top and boxers, and he's just looking like the most hateful guy alive. And they literally said, we'll just come back another time. Like, and they just
I've
never came back.
tried. Here's the thing. I've tried. I've tried these kind of things. Literally
Yeah.
one time I had somebody like try the whole thing and then literally is like I said to her, I was like, "I'm a Satanist." And that's not a lie. I am a Satanist. Like,
Hell yeah.
like
Hail
I
Satan.
don't worship the devil or anything, but like Satanists are believe in bodily autonomy, all that stuff. Like that's
Yeah.
the kind of thing like and I'm explaining to her this is the religion, like not a religion, but like this is what I follow, these are the steps like I'm really it ain't gonna work. I grew up
Yeah.
Irish Catholic, honey. It ain't gonna work. And she's like, "I'm gonna pray for you." I was like, "Please don't pray for me. It's not gonna work."
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Honestly, I love these blue shirts with the red ties and the white collar. I wish this wasn't so Republican coded because I've always actually kind of liked this look, but it's just so Republican
Same.
coded.
Honestly, though, every time I see like the white collar, that's my I call it the rich person shirt.
Yeah.
Because it's like, ooh, you have two different tones in your button up. That's rich person coded.
Yeah. We get to hear again. He's got the headphones in. This is just such New York power couple.
And even then, like, like we're talking about how he just wanted to fit in. That's like that scene.
Hmm.
She's the same way though. Like they're all the same way because they're
Yeah.
all wearing these very, especially the women, these very over the top, like huge fur jackets and these huge diamond earrings and these beautiful ball like gowns.
Hmm. Yeah, and to your point about the the plastic nature of the food and like the food like being like sort of almost fake looking, like it's also in the such good set design here because like this is very much in New York City, and honestly I think I talked about this in the past episode, like a very rich kid thing to do of like, oh, this is just some cool exposed brick warehouse, but it all feels so plastic, like it's shiny brick, it's been
Right.
painted, it's like clearly they're just doing like sort of poverty surfing.
Yeah, it's like there's like that one shoe brand that literally sells like old shoes but they're new and just weather them to
Mm.
make them look like they're old because like people it's the Coachella thing where it's like the people spent all this money to go to Coachella to live in poverty. Like I could just do that for free.
Yeah.
I could go
Yeah.
live in a tent for a few days and it's only going to cost me like $20, not $5,000. So
Yeah. Yeah. Another. Yeah.
this
It's
freaked me
just all.
out too. Is like how
Oh, this
calm
scene.
she is this whole time. And it's like you can almost see like at first she's fine and then there's almost like a tension that builds in her and she's excited to see that walk sign because I know because
Yeah.
I've been in that position where there's someone standing next to me and I'm like go to walk, go to walk, go to walk, go to walk. I don't even care, it doesn't say walk, I'm jaywalking now because I'd rather be hit by a bus than be stuck in this conversation.
Yeah. It is. I will say this is also slightly to the unrealistic because like you just jaywalk in New York City. You don't wait. There's
Yes.
no like. Do not pay attention to the walk. Don't walk.
Yeah, you only do the walk don't walk in like the really populated areas but if it's like
Yeah.
that they would have been jaywalking, let's be real here.
Yeah. You gotta. My grandparents and my dad's side is all from New York, New Jersey. So you just jaywalk. You
I was
speed
saying
walk and jaywalk. Put headphones in.
I'm from New York so
Nice. Very cool. City or like upstate or
Upstate-ish. Yeah.
nice. I won't ask you where from, obviously, on the pod. I used to vacation on Lake Placid. That was like my family's little. I don't know how.
Yeah,
What
no,
version
I
of
know where Lake Placid is, but how far is? I don't even know how far that is for me.
New York is a massive state.
Well, that's the problem though, because like
Yeah.
I, for the longest time, kept confusing Rochester and Schenectady. Don't know why, because they're just really long names.
Yeah.
Don't know why.
So, okay, so, I just realized, okay, so we'll probably cruise through some of these. So yeah, we got the scene, he's yelling at these minorities, and then he's got the scene with the woman that he just kind of blows her off. More, I think in the background, he's got the porno on, he's talking with, I did love this woman's eye mask, I gotta say, that is a great eye mask.
She looked very comfortable. Oh, so it's past Lake George. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Lake
up.
George is great.
I've been to Lake George a lot. Lake George is where I used
Great
to...
Escape.
I actually never went to a Great Escape there, but I've done a lot of other things. We used to vacation up there a lot as kids, the Lake George area. But my family is, my mom's side is like from that area, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lake George is great. Very fond memories of that. We used to go to Lake George on the way to Lake Placid, like do an amusement park day and then hike up there in the Adirondacks.
It's so gorgeous. Like New York State is like, everyone thinks like New York State is just like the city, and the city is phenomenal. Like I go to the city, not a lot. I go a lot less now, especially since COVID. But the rest of the state is just
huge and pretty,
beautiful, and there's so much shot around here cinematically. Okay, there's a lot of TV shows and movies that are shot. Okay.
Yeah, I love the shot. I didn't even notice until I was clipping things, but him through the opaque glass in the cab.
Oh, with the divider, yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. And then she's pilled out. She doesn't realize they're not at Dorsia.
Yeah, and he literally tells her what she's going to eat, and she's like,
yeah. Tells the
that's...
secretary what to wear, tells her what to eat.
Yeah, and I just remember like I'd get really mad, like if someone tried to be like, well, this is what you're eating, I'd be like, It's like that scene from White Chicks where she's like, perhaps the salad, perhaps not. Like, no.
Yeah. The point about all these guys looking the same, they either look like with the slick back hair one way or
even with the red tie shirt, almost all of their suits are brownish.
Yeah, the cards are the exact. It's like they're so pissed off that these are slightly different,
and they're just slightly because it's minuscule things. Like the font is bigger one here, and they're all just like so. And the best way I can describe this is like an anime character.
And all right, so I'm recording this as a little outro. This is the part where the podcast kind of messed up with the recording. Sorry about that, but anyway, hope you had a good show, and love you all, and thanks for listening.